Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto is an impressionable child and by being rescued by Anbu part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. The Leaf Village, somewhere in the Fire Country. Naruto Uzumaki did not have what most would call an easy life. Being an orphan put a damper on one's daily mood like that. Having no memories of your family just made it worse. Naruto had been an orphan for as long as he could remember. Being 6 years old meant that you tried to find the happiness in everything. But unfortunately for Naruto, he could hardly be happy about anything. Just a week ago, on October 10th, what he was told was his birthday, he was kicked out of the orphanage by the matron. Incidentally enough, on the night he was kicked out, he had been chased around parts of the village by a mob screaming for his head. The only reason that he was not caught and injured was due to the interference of an old man in white and red robes, and a couple of shinobi in animal masks. This brings us to the here and now. Naruto was currently sitting in a large armchair much too big for somebody like himself. The old man who had looked murderous last week had allowed him to sleep on the couch in the same office he was sitting now, and would talk to him as he completed his work. One of the masked shinobis, in a unit known as Anbu as he was told, was standing directly behind and to the right of the wrinkled old man. Now, young Naruto-kun, I am sorry that you did not have a pleasant birthday this year. The villagers' behavior was unacceptable. Inu, the Anbu behind me has spent the last week searching for a place for you to live. I am glad to say, he found you an apartment that the Shinobi Corps will pay for if you agree to join the academy and train to be one of my shinobi in the future. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Sandaime Hokage, said while smiling at the young red-headed Uzumaki in front of him. Naruto, the now 6-year-old, and 1 week, thank you, little blue-eyed redhead had a small smile on his whiskered face while he thought on what the leader of his village told him. He knew he couldn't keep living in the Hokage's office. He would just get in the way eventually and be a burden. He looked to the Anbu behind his Hokage. The shinobi looked serious, if you didn't count the very gravity-defying silver hair that was standing up behind the mask. I bet nobody in the village would ever mess with me again if I got to be behind a mask like that man is every day. Also, shinobi training will give me the tools to be able to escape the villagers if they mob up again, and show me how to fight back. At least the matron at the orphanage taught me how to read and write before she kicked me out. The boy thought to himself. Excuse me, Hokage Gigi. But if I become a shinobi, will I be able to wear a mask like Inu-san here does? He asked, getting a surprised look from the old man and a head tilt from the Anbu. Well, Naruto-kun, if you become one of my very best, then yes, you can wear a mask just like Inu-kun here. My Anbu are the special operations unit for the village, and excluding the elite Jonin of the village and the clan heads, are some of the very best we have. You would have to train very hard to make it through Anbu selection once you are older. First though, you must be able to obtain the lowest rank in the village, which is Genin. They are the young shinobi you may have seen running amongst the village completing every day-to-day task you can think of, yes? At the asked question, Naruto just gave a couple nods of his head, so Hiruzen continued. You would have to put in a rather large amount of work to make it into Anbu, Naruto-kun. But I am sure that if you commit to it, then after a couple years of being a Genin you could make it to Chunin, the next rank, and sign UIP for Black Ops. Hiruzen said with an encouraging smile to the boy. Naruto sat there, a look of contemplation on his face. What else do I have to do with myself now? I can't return to the orphanage, not after getting kicked out. Being a shinobi may well be my only choice in life, but that's okay. I want to one day be like Inu-san, and be able to hide behind a mask. I guess I should agree to being enrolled into the academy. Okay, Hokage Gigi. I want to train to be a ninja just like Inu-san. When can I start at the academy? Naruto excitedly says with the exuberance only a child could possess. This brought a smile to old Sarutobi's face. The boy may be alone now, but at least he has a goal. Oh, how I have failed you, my dear Minato-kun. I should have done better by your boy. I don't know what you were thinking, believing the village would accept a container such as him as a hero, not without him proving himself as a defender first. Hiruzen mused while looking out of the window of his office to see the Hokage monument, and the fourth head, a stone copy of his successor and predecessor. I am glad to hear that, Naruto-kun. The next cycle for the academy does not start for another several months from now on January 31st. As it is only October 17th, you have a little bit of time before you need to report to the academy. I will ensure to have you enrolled, and I can give you the academy scrolls now so that you can take the time to read ahead and prepare yourself if you would like. Yes. That would be great. But Hokage Gigi, what if I wanted to start training? You know, like all the physical stuff as well as the academics? Naruto responded, scratching the back of his head, looking sheepish. This really got the masked Anbu's attention. This might be my chance to get some time with my little brother, thought Kakashi. Should I request it, Minato-sensei? This might be my best chance to help your son. After contemplating it for barely a few more seconds, Kakashi nodded his head, in reassurance of himself. If I may, Hokage-sama? He asked for permission to speak. After receiving the affirmative from his leader, he continued. I believe that since I am currently on day shift for guard rotation, I can train the boy in the basics so that he can begin. I will even allow him to use Training Ground 7, as I won't be even entertaining taking a Genin team until another couple of years when my tour in Anbu is over. This got Naruto excited, and he proceeded to rush from the chair he was in and slammed into Kakashi and hugged his legs. Oh, thank you, Ina-sensei. Thank you? I promise you won't regret this. I will work super hard on whatever you teach me. Well, hold on, Naruto, said Kakashi as he ruffled the boy's blood-red locks of hair. Hokage-sama must first approve it. This prompted both Naruto and Kakashi to turn to face the Hokage. Naruto, being a 6-year-old, then unleashed the most devastating jutsu known to older shinobi when walking amongst their own village. The puppy I know jutsu, the Sandame didn't stand a chance. I do not see a reason why not Inu-kun. However, you will not be allowed to break your cover while training Naruto-kun. Once your tour is over, you may reveal your identity to him at that time if you so wish, however. He told Kakashi with a wry smile. You may use Training Ground 7, and here is the scroll containing the basic academy training equipment that Naruto will need. Here is one with a few sets of standard leaf shinobi training uniforms in his size, and this scroll contains all of his Taijutsu, Genjutsu, Ninjutsu, Chakra control, math, history, writing, and traps and tactics texts that he will need to study, said Sarutobi as he pulled 3 scrolls from a drawer in his desk. Whether or not you show him anything more advanced than what is in the scrolls I leave to your discretion. Now, Inu-kun, why don't you take Naruto-kun to his new apartment down the street, and then you can get him started on his training for the rest of the day. Of course, Hokage-sama. Kakashi responded with a bow to his leader. Come, Naruto-kun, your apartment isn't far from here. In fact, it is right down the street from the Anbu barracks, so that we can look out for you a bit easier from now on, he said towards the young redhead and took his hand, leading him out the door of the office. Thank you, Sarutobi-sama, I'll train him well. With that, the new duo left the Hokage's office and made their way down the street. With the aged Kage, numerous thoughts were going through his mind. I do hope this was the right decision, Minato-kun. If anyone can better your child's life, I guess it would be your only surviving student. This could very well be the best thing for the both of them. Make Naruto strong, Kakashi. He is going to need to be when he is older. I will tell him about his burden directly after he graduates the academy. He should be mature enough after some shinobi training. And with that, a new story of the Leaf Village has begun. Naruto and Inu Kakashi were walking down the street. It was only a block to Naruto's new home. His apartment complex was adjacent to a big wall. On the other side is where all the A and B get housing for when they are a part of the unit. It makes it easier, and it is free for the shinobi instead of having to live farther away from Hokage-sama. This place was chosen so that myself and other members of my squad can come and assist you in case you get yourself into any more trouble, Naruto-kun, Kakashi told the young shinobi in training. After getting to the top floor and entering the apartment, Naruto did a little exploring. It was only a one-bed unit with a living room and adjoining kitchen area. The bathroom was across the hall from his bedroom. Now, Naruto-kun, we have stocked your fridge with all the necessities, as well as your cabinets. 3 times a day for the next 3 weeks, and A&B will be here, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and will be trying to teach you how to cook your own food. You must be here to let them in every day at 7 a.m., 11 a.m., and finally 5 p.m. This is so that we can get you self-reliant as fast as we can. We cannot afford to always be sending somebody to take care of you with how busy we are. Pay close attention to whoever is to teach you how to use your kitchen. Do you understand? Kakashi asked, looking down at the boy with his hands on his hips, trying to be as stern as possible. Yes, Ina-sensei, you can count on me. I will pay close attention. When will we be going to the training grounds? Naruto asked, nearly bouncing with anticipation. As soon as we get all your things unsealed from your scrolls, and we get you changed into your training uniform. Now come here so that I can show you how. Better yet, I should probably teach you to access chakra before we do that. Kakashi responded with a hand on his chin. Okay, Naruto-kun, please sit down. Good. Now copy my hands with yours, he told the boy while making a full array seal. This is the most basic hand seal for accessing a shinobi's chakra. I will go over the rest later today. Now close your eyes and concentrate. You must look inside yourself until you can spot what feels like your life force. Simply search your mind, and once you find it, try to pull a little bit of it out. Naruto was focusing as hard as a little 6-year-old possibly could. After what felt like an hour but was only 10 minutes, he could swear he felt something, and tried to pull it to the forefront of his mind. He started to feel more at peace yet more energetic as the feeling grew. Kakashi was watching with a small amount of surprise. The boy had managed to find his chakra source incredibly fast for his age, especially considering he was supposed to learn it while at the academy during his second year after physical training. Kakashi could visibly see a small stream of blue chakra pump out from Naruto though, kicking up some dust from the apartment floor before Naruto opened his eyes and broke the pull from his core. How was that, Ines-Nisei? Did I do it right? Naruto asked with hope in his eyes. He refused to repay the man's kindness with failure. It just would not do for the future Anbu shinobi. That was actually impressive, Naruto-kun. You are already above the learning curve the academy teaches now. The academy students do not learn to access their chakra until the very beginning of their second year. The fact that you already have a large enough core to pull some from is a good sign that you may be a powerful shinobi, with the right training and hard work of course. Kakashi responded with his patented eye smile, not that Naruto could see that though. Naruto beamed at the praise. He never received any when he was at the orphanage, and to have someone acknowledge an accomplishment of his felt rather good. When he learned reading and writing faster than the other children, the matron never said anything positive to him. She only muttered words that he could not hear under her breath. Thank you, Ina-sensei. Now moving on, Naruto-kun, what you need to do is to bite your thumb and spread a little bit of your blood on the seal when you unroll it, and then using the half-ram seal. Like this he demonstrated, and putting a small amount of your chakra into it. The first scroll you should use is this one, as it has your uniform, and you should go hang up the extras after you go change. Hi, sensei. Naruto responded before doing just that. After taking all 7 sets of his new clothing to his closet, he came out 10 minutes later in his new attire. No longer did he wear the drab orphanage rags of a white t-shirt and brown cargo shorts. Now Naruto wore a long-sleeved dark blue shinobi shirt, matching Anbu-styled pants, and a pair of black shinobi sandals. On his left arm in red was the Leaf Village's symbol, and on his right was another in the form of a simple spiral. How do I look, Ina-sensei? He asked his new mentor. Not bad, Naruto-kun. You look like a proper Leaf shinobi, miniature of course. Kakashi teased. Now, this scroll here has your training equipment, such as your kunai knives and your shuriken. Repeat the process you did with the last scroll, load up your holsters and put your extra weapons in your closet. Naruto did all this, coming back out wearing a weapons pouch on both of his legs, the area of his pants with the holsters covered in white shinobi tape. Now Naruto-kun, do the same for this next scroll, put the scrolls for chakra control into your utility pouch, and store the rest in your bookcase over by the couch, said Kakashi. Finally, once Naruto had everything he could possibly need for the training grounds, the took off. At training ground 7. Okay Naruto, I am going to get you going on the exercises I want you to do before you start any of your training in chakra control, Taijutsu, or weapons training. As you can see, there are 3 tree stumps for punching dummies, and a few targets placed throughout the grounds for sure Genjutsu training. What I want you to do for your physical stuff will be to start up with 5 laps around the training ground at a jog. After that, I want you to do 20 push-ups, 20 squats, 25 sit-ups, 5 pull-ups off of that tree over there, 20 burpees, 20 hello dollies, and 20 flutter kicks. Once you finish all of that, you will need to take a 5-minute break for water and to do cool-down stretches before you move on to Taijutsu. Now, get to those laps, my cute little student, Kakashi explained with sadistic glee. This was going to be oh so amusing. This is just a watered-down version of all the exercises that Minato-sensei used to make me and my team do after all. Naruto-kun, 30 minutes later, saw a panting redhead bent over his knees trying to catch his breath after finishing his cool-down. If I do this every day, I might die of a heart attack at a young age, though Naruto to himself. Okay Naruto, now come here, Ina-sensei called over to him. Once Naruto was in front of him by the training posts, he got to explaining. Okay Naruto-kun, now, every day, to build up your form, and to harden your body I want you to do 100 punches and kicks with each arm and leg. Once you get older, we will ramp those numbers up, but for now, this should be brutal enough training as it is. Another 20 minutes later, and Naruto was trying to simultaneously nurse his bleeding knuckles and his poor throbbing shins. Here Naruto-kun, let me teach you to wrap your hands so that you can stop the bleeding. Kakashi said as he beckoned him over. Shinobi tape really comes in handy for a number of things, Naruto-kun. I hope you remember that. Now that you are done with your punches and kicks, let's get you on to target practice. After showing Naruto how to properly throw both the kunai and the shuriken, Kakashi had him practice for another full hour. By the end of it, Naruto was hitting 4 out of 10 bullseyes with each type of weapon. For a first day of trying, that really isn't a bad way to end on his weapons training. This kid may very well just go as far as myself, maybe even you, sensei. Kakashi mused to himself. How are you feeling right now, Naruto-kun? He was asking since they had been at it for a while now. Naruto was after all only 6, and he had been actively training for over 2 hours. I am doing fine, Ina-sensei. Just a little winded and a bit sore from the punches and kicks. Naruto responded with a small smile. Good, now we are going to go over chakra control. This will be especially important for you, considering you are going to have a large chakra core. I can already tell just from how much you pulled on when you tried earlier. The more chakra you have, the harder it is to properly control. But since you are starting off chakra training so young, you may just beat the learning curve, and not have any issues in the future since you will have a good grasp of your chakra as it grows with you. Kakashi explained to his young pupil. The most basic chakra control exercise here in the leaf village is the leaf balancing exercise. What I need you to do is take a leaf, put it on your forehead, and try to keep it there using only focus chakra. You should do this from the sitting and use at the very least a half ram seal to help you focus until you get it down. I won't be here every day to train you, so it is up to you to do everything I have shown you, as well as read all the texts the Hokage gave you that are in your bookcase at your apartment, Naruto-kun. When balancing one leaf becomes too easy, you should add another leaf. After you get to say 15 leaves at once, I will teach you the next control exercise, deal? Kakashi asked his student. You can count on me, sensei. I will study the texts really hard when I am not here at the training grounds. Naruto responded with a thumbs up and a closed-eye grin. And so the training of a new shinobi has been kicked into gear. It was now mid-November, just about 4 weeks since young Naruto had begun training under the supervision of his Ina-sensei. As the dog-masked Anbu had promised him, another Anbu had come and taught him how to cook for his first 3 weeks of living on his own. Nico-chan, as Naruto now fondly called her, was the purple-haired Anbu that took the time to teach Naruto how to live on his own. To avoid as much contact with the villagers as possible, either Nico or Inu would drop off a weekly supply of groceries for the young red-headed trainee. Naruto, inspired to not be a burden on either of the shinobi who helped him out, made learning the Genjutsu no Jutsu his top priority once he got his chakra control up to par. In fact, that was what Naruto was working on right now in Training Ground 7. He was reading the details for the henge from his academy scroll, while he had 7 leaves balancing around different parts of his torso. In just 4 weeks, Naruto was nearly at half of what his Ina-sensei prescribed to him for before he could move on to the next chakra control exercise. He had tried to read ahead, but unfortunately for him, the academy text didn't cover anything besides pulling your chakra for the first time and the leaf exercise. This meant that he would have to live up to his word and follow through on his sensei's instructions. This was fine by him though. He felt he was making good progress. He was just finishing up the scroll on the henge. To him it seemed basic enough. The only person who he could probably transform into now was the Hokage himself, as he was most familiar with him. Sure, he spends a lot of time with Ina-sensei, and Nico-chan visited at least every other week, but Naruto would stop by the Hokage's office at least once a day for an hour-long conversation. He would pick the old man's brain about Anbu, or about being the Hokage. He would even occasionally ask for advice regarding a part of his training that he wasn't sure about. Just yesterday, the old man and Ina-sensei went over the hand signs necessary for completing the henge and described exactly what he should be picturing and how he should be molding his chakra to get the jutsu down. Now, he was just going over the material one last time before he set to learning the jutsu. All it required was 3 hand seals. Okay, let's give this a shot, dog Boram. Naruto called out while going through the sequence. There was a puff of smoke around Naruto, and when it cleared and he checked with a mirror he had on himself, he had pulled off a semi-transformation at the very least. He looked like a deformed version of Hiruzen, with a giant bulbous nose and extremely bushy gray eyebrows. Off at the Hokage's office, Hiruzen happened to have been watching Naruto through his crystal ball. The old leader had a tick mark and sweat drop on his forehead. Back with Naruto. Well, I guess I'll just have to work on it. Practice makes perfect after all. Naruto sighed to himself. He practiced his jutsu for another hour before giving up after minimum progress. At least he was able to get the Hokage's eyebrows correct. He would just have to keep working on it. Ninjutsu and chakra control were the last exercises he ever did for the day, excluding the long run back to his apartment. The training grounds were on the outskirts of the village after all. Naruto had gotten used to his workouts in the past month. He now ran to the training grounds back and forth twice a day. In the mornings he would work on the exercises Inu-sensei had shown him. He was now doing 10 laps around the grounds, 40 push-ups, 40 squats, 50 sit-ups, 10 pull-ups, 40 burpees, 40 hello dollies, and 40 flutter kicks. He had double all his workouts. Once he got into the training, he seemed to recover quicker than he thought he would, and after the first week he had to start increasing his repetitions. His body just got too used to the stress too quickly. Inu-sensei complimented him on his progress whenever he stopped by to observe his training, which was usually once a day when he wasn't on a mission. The praise encouraged Naruto to try even harder, to make his teacher even prouder of him. I'll get this jutsu down no problem, and then Inu-sensei and Nico-chan won't have to get my groceries for me any longer, Naruto once again said to himself. Break. 1 week later, Naruto had just finished up his Taijutsu training for the morning. Inu-sensei had decided to start showing him the academy style so that he would at least have a basis, and told him that if he got good enough, he would teach him his own style as well. With that kind of encouragement, our little shinobi in training took to the style like a fish does to water. He learned the entire set of first-year forms in just the last week alone, and had done a short spar with Inu to try and put it into a practical application. Kakashi honestly was just baffled by the amount of inane and raw talent that Naruto displayed on a day-to-day basis. The child picked up material ridiculously quickly. Hell, he was sure that by the end of the month that he would have to follow through on his promise to show Naruto the next level of chakra control. He was already at 11 leaves when he practiced. 11! It was absurd. The last person to show this much shinobi talent was Itachi Uchiha, who was an Anbu operative sure to be a captain himself soon enough. Itachi had graduated the academy at a young age thanks to his clan training and talent as well. Now at 12, soon to be 13, he was the top in his generation of shinobi. Kakashi knew that it was a mix of raw talent and Naruto's sheer determination to learn his shinobi skills as well as he can. The boy truly puts his back into anything and rarely ever complains. All right, Naruto-kun, you know the drill. After Taijutsu comes weapons training. Get to it. Hi, sensei. The kid really does work hard. Kakashi mused to himself as he watched Naruto throw his weapons at the targets around the field. The boy had improved from 4 out of 10 with each weapon to 8 hitting the bullseye and the final 2 just barely outside of it. You may truly be a genius in your own right, Naruto. You are out here every day without fail. Sad really, you should be in the park, playing with kids your own age. Instead you play with weapons and chakra. What a sad world we live in. After weapons training, he got his student moving on to his chakra control, showing he had improved to 12 leaves in the exercise. Okay, I take it back, the kid will be starting tree walking in under 2 weeks, watch. After a solid amount of time practicing that, he decided Naruto should have more than enough control of his chakra now to pull of the henge. Hell, most academy students didn't get past 5 leaves before the graduate then entire curriculum. Okay, Naruto-kun, how about you try and do the henge now? I am sure you can manage it, you were fairly close to pulling it off yesterday. Kakashi told the youngling. Hi, sensei was all the response he got before the redhead went through the hand seals and whispered under his breath the name of the jutsu, and a small cloud of smoke surrounded him. Once it was clear, Kakashi was proud to spot that it was a near-perfect replica of the Sandaime Hokage. Good job, Naruto-kun, you did it that time. Why don't you release it, and keep practicing doing it back and forth? He praised his student. Woo! I finally did it. Thank you, Inu-sensei. Of course. Break. Another week went by, putting them at the last days of November. For the past week Naruto had practiced going into the village after his morning training to spot random civilians in the village to see if he could pull of henges of anyone he saw. He was meticulous in his people watching, and used the henge to start going into shops that he knew from first-hand experience that he is certainly not allowed in. This alone got Naruto up to a very good level of proficiency in the jutsu. Besides that, he had gotten all 15 leaves to balance on his body at once, and Inu-sensei was now following through on his promise, and teaching him the next chakra control exercise today. Okay, Naruto-kun, here, take this kunai. Today, I am going to teach you how to climb trees. Kakashi told him with a nice smile, once again, not like the boy could see it. Naruto just sweat dropped at what his sensei told him. Really? He thought to himself. Sensei, I already know how to climb trees. What is the point of this training? He asked. Oh, this is the part one I'm sure every Jonin sensei loves. Kakashi thought. Well, you see, young grasshopper, I mean, learning to climb trees, without the use of your hands? At this Naruto's jaw just dropped. Is that even possible? He thought, just as Ina-sensei walked over to a tree, and nonchalantly began, yep you guessed it, walking right up the trunk of the tree like it was nothing. It seemed as if everything about his sensei was gravity-defying, not just his hair. Oh, I cannot wait to learn how to do that, the boy shouted. I mean, come on, who wouldn't want to walk up walls if they were capable of doing it? And with that, Naruto's training kicked itself up by another notch it would seem. It was around sunset in the village hidden in the leaves. Everyone was making a move to end their days, except for one small child who was punching away at a stump, going back and forth, left to right hand. Blood flowing down his knuckles, and he continued to smash his fists into the wood, getting it to splinter just a little bit more with each strike. This child was none other than the Leaf's resident red-headed shinobi in training, Naruto Uzumaki. Now Naruto had been attending the Shinobi Academy for a little over 6 months now, as it was early July, and the heat of summer was apparent in the air. Naruto loved and hated attending the academy. At first, his instructors were vicious to him, and always tried to kick him out of his classes and lectures. Naruto, a young shinobi who takes his training very seriously, wasn't having any of that. It took 2 whole months before he could convince the Hokage to investigate the discrimination he was up against. His instructors wouldn't just kick him out, they would falsely fail him on written tests, and always tell the class that he cheated any time he decimated anyone during a Taijutsu spar, the only ones being able to hold the torch to him being Neji Hyuga and some kid with thick eyebrows named Rock Lee. Now, thankfully, he had instructors who weren't complete and utter jerks to him, the other 2 getting fired or whatever. Iruka and Ebisu-sensei were much better, sure they were both rather strict, but each of them were equally strict to everyone. Since the academy, and instructors who taught him on top of his Inu-sensei's guidance, Naruto had achieved a lot. As of last week, he had just mastered the clone jutsu, the last of the Academy 3 that he needed to learn to be able to take the graduation test. Not that he would be taking it anytime soon. Inu-sensei told him that he would have to wait, as it was peace times and that meant the earliest he could graduate would be at 10 years old. If he stuck with his class, he would graduate at age 11. He was in no rush to leave the academy, in all honesty. On top of his morning training, going to the academy during the day, and his evening training with Inu-sensei, he figured he had it good and should take up the time now to train before he got too busy doing D-rank missions as a genin. Inu-sensei had been kind enough to use that as a warning to keep Naruto from trying to graduate earlier than he should. Naruto now spent the mornings doing 25 laps around his training ground, 100 push-ups, 100 squats, 150 sit-ups, 15 pull-ups, 100 burpees, 100 hello dollies, and 100 flutter kicks. With his increase in strength, before he did taijutsu and he just wailed on his training logs, he punched with each arm 300 times, the same for his legs and kicks, and he also practiced 300 knife hands with each arm as well. Naruto had customized the uniforms the Hokage had given him a little, just cutting off the sleeves, and using white shinobi tape to cover up to his biceps due to all the body hardening he did. Inu-sensei had shown him the basic forms of the Anbu taijutsu style. He wouldn't give him any scrolls, as it was a style taught only in person. The style was called the Rising Shadow style. It was an extremely evasive style, that consisted of a lot of flowing dodges to tire an opponent out, and to force them to overextend before capitalizing on a mistake and finishing an opponent off quickly and viciously. The style was intended for people who carry out assassinations, so it only made sense that the style focused on killing your opponent. Another thing that Inu had Naruto working on now was trying to break out of and spot Genjutsus, which were illusions that could be crippling during a battle. With Naruto mastering the tree-walking exercise over the last few months, he would soon be capable of trying to learn a Genjutsu besides the clone and henge. The replacement jutsu was the only one the academy taught that was an actual ninjutsu, and was currently the only one in Naruto's repertoire. Break, time skip, October 10th, Naruto's birthday. Naruto was spending his birthday at, behold, Training Ground 7. He was currently trying to place his sensei under a Genjutsu. He has been trying to perfect the demonic illusion, hell viewing technique. This technique forces an opponent to witness a horrifying image, tempered specifically to their own worst fear. After watching his sensei do a small shiver, he grinned. He must have succeeded. It was the only way Inu-sensei would do something so out of character. Well, Naruto, I think you have that Genjutsu down finally. Congratulations, though, to master that in only 2 weeks. Keep this up, and I might just run out of things to teach you. Kakashi praised. Yeah right, sensei. We both know that you know far more jutsu than just this Genjutsu. I mean, come on, this one is only a D rank, and I am willing to bet that you are at least an A rank shinobi. You won't be fooling me out of any techniques. Speaking of that, when are you going to get me started on elemental jutsu? I am trying to get the Rookie of the Year spot here, and going up a genius of a Hyuga isn't exactly easy, Naruto responded, a little bit peeved. The Hyuga just seemed to be good at everything and was capable of always matching Naruto in a Taijutsu spar. Well, maybe, just maybe, since it is your birthday after all, we can start that for the rest of the day since you got the Genjutsu down. Kakashi teased with a nice smile. Once again, not that Naruto can see that. You're serious, right? Naruto asked with a gobsmacked look on his face. I believe so, here, catch. Kakashi said as he tossed a wrapped box over to Naruto. Open it up, and happy birthday, Naruto. Naruto caught the box and proceeded to joyfully rip it open. It was the first present he had ever gotten, not counting his toad-shaped wallet that he stored his allowance in. After getting the wrapping paper off, he realized he was holding a book on elemental manipulation and the fundamentals and theory behind it. Taped to the book was a pack of 10 tan-colored sheets of paper. Naruto pulled them off the book, wondering what they were. Almost as if predicting what Naruto was going to ask, Kakashi answered preemptively. Those papers are chakra papers. When you channel chakra into them, they tell you what your natural elemental affinity is. If it is fire, it will burn and turn to ash. If it is water, the paper will get soaked. If it is earth, the paper will decompose and crumble. If it is wind, it will slice in two, and if it is lightning, the paper will crinkle in on itself. Watch me do it. He reached for one of the sheets, and holding it in between two of his fingers, it soon crinkled into a tight little ball. As you can see, Naruto-kun, I am a lightning affinity. Now I want you to do the same. Alright, I can't wait to see which one mine is. Naruto exclaimed. After grabbing one and channeling chakra into it, the paper instantly burst into flames. To the surprise of both Naruto and Kakashi, the bottom fourth of the paper did no burn. In fact, it merely got soggy as if it had been in water this entire time. Ina-sensei, what does this mean? Did I do it wrong? Naruto asked his teacher. Kakashi was floored. He knew that neither of Naruto's parents carried an elemental bloodline limit. The Uzumaki held water affinities, so that wasn't too much of a surprise considering who his mother was. But where did the dominant fire affinity come from? Kakashi thought. Well, it would appear you have a very strong fire affinity, Naruto, and a smaller water affinity, which is rare, considering water is fire's weakness. Even then, having two affinities without a bloodline limit is very rare, so congratulations on that. Kakashi finally voiced. It has to be his little friend that is inside of him. It is the only thing that makes sense at all. Kakashi thought back to what had happened 7 years ago to this day. Well, as I'm sure that book I gave you will tell you, before you learn to use fire or water jutsu, you must do elemental training. We will start with your fire since it is stronger, and to do that, you must teach your chakra to burn a leaf, said Kakashi, setting his red-headed student to another difficult task, that he would no doubt master by exceeding expectations once again. And so, our young friend begins to set things ablaze. Our 7-year-old little shinobi could be found sitting down in the middle of training ground 7 with his legs tucked underneath him. His hair moved with the wind in all its blood-red glory, and eyelids hid his cerulean orbs from view. Naruto had his hands pressed together, palm to palm with one on top of the other, his brow furrowed in intense concentration. In between his hands he held a leaf, one which he was currently trying to set on fire. This was the first step in his elemental training for his fire element, obviously. Currently, this training seemed to be the hardest that Ina-sensei had ever given to him. He was already over 5 months past the day he was first shown how to do the chakra molding exercise. In the span of those 5 months, Naruto had only managed to burn half of a leaf at a time before he would have to go grab another, and try all over again. To say that this frustrated Naruto would be an understatement. After having been so successful with all the other training his sensei gave him, elemental training had become the bane of his existence. Inu-sensei refused to teach him any jutsu for his element until after he mastered this first step of his fire training. Sure, his sensei would teach him stuff that wasn't elemental. So far, he had learned the Shuriken Shadow Close Jutsu, as well as its kunai counterpart. He could use either of those a near dozen times before he got exhausted, which Inu told him was well above average for Chunin, let alone academy students. Besides those, Naruto had also been taught another Genjutsu from his sensei. He learned another D-rank Genjutsu which his sensei said he had acquired from some range shinobi. It was called Misservice no Jutsu, and it made those trapped under its effects see clones that seemed to phase in and out of the ground and appeared to be made of some blackish liquid. His sensei said that the technique was a great way to keep an enemy shinobi distracted, so that you could take them out from a safe distance. Besides those 3, well 2 if you really wanted to look at the glass half empty, Taijutsu. Naruto had also started working on the water walking technique for his chakra control. It was him mastering this over the last few months that allowed him to be capable of using Genjutsu despite his massive reserves for his age. Since Inu, Kakashi, got him working on chakra control so young, Naruto was literally spared the handicap of being barred from certain aspects of the shinobi disciplines. Though training his chakra control wasn't easy, it was a stark contrast in comparison to if he had not started chakra control until he got onto a Genin squad. Still, all that success aside, none of that stopped Naruto from being absolutely pissed off that he could just not get the leaf to burn through all the way. As the sun was setting over the treetops of the training ground, he paused his training to check on the leaf he was currently working on. He proceeded to huff in irritation after seeing that he had made little to no progress. "You have got to be kidding me." He spoke to no one. "I can't believe how much harder this is compared to the rest of training. Sensei won't even give me any more hints either, just keeps saying that I will get it with time." Now I know, Naruto kind of sounds like a brat complaining about the difficulties of his training. You must remember though, the young academy student literally only trains when he is outside of class. His schedule literally consists of waking up at the crack of dawn and sprinting to the training grounds to start his morning exercises. After that he runs back to the village, showers, eats, and changes uniforms, and then spends a good part of the day in class where he only has a challenge if he spars with Neji or Lee. He looks forward far too much for when he gets a chance to spar Iruka-sensei or Ebisu-sensei since he knows he will most likely lose to them, so therefore he can push past his boundaries. So, for him to hit such a roadblock in his training, after everything else Ina-sensei taught him, I think most would be getting frustrated as well. Naruto still pushes on through it, knowing it will be tough, but he is only 7 years old after all. His childish personality was bound to bleed through every now and again, regardless of how often he tried to emulate an Anbu operative. Young Naruto paused his self-monologue to peer up at the sky. "It's getting pretty dark. Guess I should head home and make dinner. Chicken cutlet curry and rice sound pretty good," he thought to himself. And with the end to another day of training, he began his sprint back to his apartment complex. Break. The next morning, he woke to the sounds of the early birds chirping away. He had trained himself to not require an alarm clock, resulting in very light sleeping habits. Stretching with a yawn as he got out of his bed, the redhead began his squinted-eyed journey to his bathroom. After relieving his bladder and splashing himself with some cold water, he went into the kitchen and pulled a granola bar from one of the cabinets. He munched on his light breakfast as he started pulling on a fresh training uniform that he had hanging on his kitchen stool. Once he was dressed and had finished wrapping his arms and pants up, he did a few stretches before heading out the door. Anyone who bothered to be awake at this time of day would see a black, white, and red blur zipping through the village streets, heading towards the outskirts. Naruto never paused or slowed down, merely taking a moment to wave whenever he spotted an Anbu patrolling on the rooftops. He himself would take to them as well, but as he currently had not earned a forehead protector yet, he did not have authorization from the Shinobi Council to do so. This was another reason why he always left so early. He almost never ran into any civilians on his way to training. The less glares and whispered insults, the better, he thought to himself as he left the village proper. Break. After making it to the training ground, Naruto took a minute before beginning his morning physical training. After all these months, his physical prowess had skyrocketed as he grew a little due to getting a bit older and eating right. His exercises now consisted of 100 laps around the grounds with 500 push-ups, 500 squats, 500 sit-ups, 50 pull-ups, 500 burpees, 500 hello dollies, and 500 flutter kicks. With his friends in ANBU ensuring he always had fresh vegetable and meats, he was developing nicely. He didn't look buff or anything, but you could tell that he worked out considering he was 7 and seemed to be cut out of stone. All his training had hardened his body to quite a good degree. After finishing all his exercises, Naruto just sat under the shade of a tree, trying to work on his leaf burning some more. This was his day-to-day routine, with him occasionally upping the number of repetitions he would do, but always finishing with some form of training that didn't require him to move. He usually took this time to study the scrolls that his sensei or the Hokage gave him, but he was determined to get his leaf to light up in a blaze. "I'll burn you yet, you'll see," he ground out as he focused in on his task. Break. Later that day at the academy, Naruto was taking a test on the village history. He was currently answering a question that asked about the Shodaime Hokage and what jutsu he preferred to use. These tests were always too easy for him. He rarely ever got a question wrong. He had gone over all the academy scrolls multiple times by now. It's the only reason he was years ahead of his peers, not that they ever knew that. Everyone in the class just assumed Naruto was extremely talented and could always do everything within his first few tries. No one in the class knew about any of his extra training. He was just hailed as a genius, but one that nobody wanted to be friends with. All of the students' parents had warned them to stay away from Naruto, telling them that he was a delinquent, and that he would just hurt them and get them into trouble somehow. None of the students had ever seen Naruto getting into trouble besides the first couple of months of the academy, but they took their parents' word at face value. This was fine with Naruto himself. The only person who he ever had a rare conversation with was Rock Lee, and that was to discuss Taijutsu. As it turned out, the boy could not develop his chakra coils enough to utilize Genjutsu or ninjutsu. Any other form of friendship with the blinded children in his class would just be a distraction from his goals. He had tried to start a friendly rivalry with Neji, but the arrogant brat had deemed him unworthy because he was clanless. The young Hyuga somehow ignored the fact that 2 out of every 5 Taijutsu fights, Naruto would beat him soundly. Naruto did not understand how the kid didn't take him seriously. They were constantly switching between the first place spot on a regular basis. They were never separated by more than a point difference in their GPAs. After finishing the rest of his test, Naruto sat there contemplating the leaf-burning exercise while staring out the window. I don't need their friendship. Sensei and old man Hokage acknowledge me. And that was more than enough in his eyes. I'm training to become an elite, not some cannon fodder like the rest of my classmates, he thought. I'll accomplish what Sensei has laid before me, get stronger, and blaze through the shinobi ranks until I can try my hand at the Black Ops. Break. It wouldn't be for another 5 months until Naruto had finally made a breakthrough on his elemental training. He could now burn a single leaf in between his hands in 10 seconds, the whole leaf. Inu-sensei had deemed that worthy enough to begin learning a basic Fire Jutsu. Currently Kakashi and Naruto were in training ground 7, standing not that far from a training log. Kakashi was attempting to explain the ins and outs of the Great Fireball no Jutsu. It was the most basic and common Fire Jutsu in the elemental nations. Now Naruto the hand seals are snake, ram, monkey, boar, horse, and finally tiger. Most if not all fire techniques will end in the tiger seal. The Great Fireball no Jutsu is a C-ranked, short-range defensive technique. This was considered a rite of passage among what used to be the Uchiha clan, but as you know, they were all, except for one, wiped out by Itachi. Kakashi explained. Yes, sensei, I remember the village going on lockdown a few months ago. Naruto responded with a solemn nod. He had met Itachi in the Hokage's office a couple of times when the Anbu was returning from a mission. Inu had told him the identity of the weasel-masked operative. It was a shame that such a good shinobi snapped under the pressure and murdered his whole family, excluding his younger brother. How should I mold the chakra when trying to perform the jutsu? He asked. Good question, my cute little student. The best way I can explain it is to try and make a mental image of the inside of your throat. After that, pretend that you have a large amount of swallowed oil in your stomach, and then try to bring it back up, while igniting it just as it leaves your mouth. To prevent yourself from burning your mouth, you should use all of that chakra control of yours and use a layer of it around the insides. The Anbu explained. Do you have any more questions? No, sensei. I think I will be able to get this down quickly enough, responded Naruto. We will see, Naruto-kun, we will see. Kakashi smiled in return, again, not that Naruto could see that. Though, I think you just actually might be right, he kept to himself. And with that, a new fire kindles. Kakashi could seriously not believe what had happened over the past 14 months. His sensei's son had proven to be a metaphorical sponge when it came to ninjutsu. Tomorrow was to be Naruto's 9th birthday, and Kakashi truly didn't know how to measure the kid's performance during training. Itachi and himself were the only two that he could hold a torch to the kid in comparison to age and talent. Learning how to do the Great Fireball no Jutsu hadn't taken Naruto that long at all. It had only taken a month of practicing building fire chakra in his throat, and then trying to safely expel it from his body in a controlled fashion. After getting that down, Naruto had taken on an obsession with perfectionism and did not want to work on a new jutsu until his first fire one was deemed by Kakashi to be combat ready. Getting the Great Fireball up to a Chunin standard is what Naruto had accomplished. This took 4 months, as Naruto rarely deviated too much from his training schedule to ignore any of the other shinobi disciplines. For those remaining 9 months leading up to this point in time, Naruto had taken only 3 months each, on 3 more C-ranked fire ninjutsus to get them up to an acceptable combat standard. Naruto now had a total of 4 elemental jutsu to add to his arsenal, and Kakashi was watching him practice those 4 jutsu right now in training ground 7. Naruto threw shuriken with ninja wire attached, manipulating them to wrap around his target, a large rock sticking out of the ground. Once his target was officially restrained, he held all the wire in one hand and proceeded to go through a hand seal sequence. Snake, dragon, rabbit, tiger, dragon fire no jutsu. Building up the flames in his throat, he smoothly brought the ninja wire to his mouth and transferred the flames, letting them rush down the wire. The flames rushed down the length and consumed the rock, hiding it from view as the flames grew larger and hotter. When the flames cleared, there was only a molten puddle of magma and a pillar of smoke coming from where the rock once stood. This is the exact effect Naruto was hoping for. This technique was the second that Ina-sensei had taught to him. It was so Naruto would have a technique that would be great for apprehending and assassinating a target if it came down to it. The dragon fire no jutsu could melt skin and rock alike. Unfortunately, it was not the most versatile of jutsu. After confirming a successful jutsu execution, Naruto immediately targeted a training log and jumped into the air as he ran through another hand seal sequence. Snake, ram, monkey, boar, horse, tiger. Flame bullet. Naruto gathered oil in his mouth and proceeded to spit out 2 compressed balls of it towards the stump, igniting them as they made their way past his lips. One bullet stuck high, the other low, properly coating the entire log in the burning liquid. This was a more potent offensive fire technique that required more chakra than the great fireball no jutsu. It burned at a higher temperature and took longer to gather the chakra necessary to create the oil in your mouth. This could be avoided by using less oil, however. Honestly, it all depended on the situation. After the completion of the jutsu, Naruto landed back on the ground in a crouch, chose another training stump, and proceeded into another hand seal sequence for his final fire jutsu. Rat, tiger, dog. Ox, rabbit, tiger. Phoenix sage fire no jutsu. And Naruto condensed some more fire in his throat and began to fire smaller fireballs at the stump at a rate of 3 every second. He kept this up for 5 seconds, firing a total of 15 mini fireballs, and hitting the log with them all. Naruto slowly stood up after releasing his jutsu and took a long, slow breath. Ninjutsu training always took a lot out of him, especially because it was the last thing on his schedule to do every day. After nodding to himself with a final inspection given to all of his jutsu's victims, he started walking back over to Inu. So Ina-sensei, how do you think I am coming along with my fire style? He asked his Anbu mentor. Well, not too shabby, if I do say so myself, Naruto. You have seriously shattered all my expectations of you. If you keep at this, there is no way you will be a genin for very long after you graduate. Speaking of that, how much time left do you have? We don't really ever speak about your time away from the training grounds. Kakashi responded. He was asking because he knew that soon he would be retiring from Anbu to take up his role as a Jonin sensei. In all honesty, after being Naruto's teacher for nearly 3 years, he can't say that he doesn't enjoy teaching. Naruto sighed to this. He just really did not like his classmates, Rock Lee being the exception. Well, sensei, I would like to graduate a year early from my class, he said with a frown. Now why would you do that? I thought you wanted to train as long as possible and put off the unescapable curse of D-rank missions for now? Kakashi asked with confusion laced in his tone. He was under the belief that Naruto planned to finish with his class. He was already a full year younger than them already, let alone the next class which was 2 ahead of him. I would like to graduate with my class, sensei. I actually like my teachers there after all. Iruka-sensei is nice. He has taken me out for ramen a time or 2 to reward me for being one of the top 2 performers in his class. Then Ebisu-sensei isn't hostile towards me and gives pretty good hints on how to utilize the basics better. Honestly, the problem are my classmates. Most of them suck at the shinobi disciplines. There are honestly only 3 other students who are dedicated to it. The rest all come from civilian backgrounds and don't take the academy seriously. Most of the class hasn't finished the academy 3. Ina-sensei, why would I want to be on a team with any of them? Naruto ranted with obvious frustration. Damn Naruto, I didn't know that your classmates were that bad. Still, well, what about those 3 that you complimented? Wouldn't you want to be on a team with a couple of them? Kakashi asked his student with optimism. To this Naruto just scoffed. Please, sensei, the Hyuga would be a good teammate, I guess, if he could get that large kunai pulled out of his ass. He has got to be the most stuck-up scum I have ever met. He treats me like filth because I am a no-named orphan and disregards the fact that most of the times, I beat him in Taijutsu spars. I beat him 3 out of every 5 spars now, and the bastard has the nerve to talk down to me. I am the one who currently holds the Rookie of the Year title in the class, and the only 2 who ever show me any form of respect or even common decency are Rock Lee and this girl Tenten. Well, what about a team with this Tenten and that Lee kid? Kakashi asked. Tenten has a crush on the Hyuga, sure, she never insults me and recognizes me as the best in the class, but she would prefer to be with the stuck-up prick, so I say let him have her. As for Lee, well, I like the kid, but he is a liability sensei. He started training in Taijutsu under some hotshot Jonin not too long ago because he found out he is incapable of either Gen or Ninjutsu, underdeveloped chakra coils or something. I don't want a shinobi on my team who can't do collaborative jutsu, and the kid wears a terrible green jumpsuit with orange leg warmers now. Despicable. Naruto finished with a shiver. And he has a bowl cut now as well. It gives me the creeps. The kid's eyebrows are too large for that haircut, sensei. He added on. Oh no! Don't tell me the Hokage is allowing Guy to teach an academy student. It sounds like he turned him into a miniature version of himself. Kakashi thought with horror. Well, be that as it may, Naruto, the problem is that the class ahead of you graduates before your 10th birthday. The exam is set for September every year, you know that, and Hokage-sama will not make an exception just because he treats you like a grandson, you know. I know, sensei, I know. What if I go back to my actual age group? Would that be acceptable? Naruto asked after the idea popped into his head. Not unless you want to be labeled the dead last of the academy. They will only transfer you if you start failing miserably, and that won't happen since we all already know exactly how skilled you are. Hokage-sama will not allow you to hold yourself back, Naruto-kun. I am sorry, you will just have to hope for the best when it comes to team assignments. Kakashi responded. Naruto sighed once again. Damn, I figured. Is there really no way for me to go straight into Anbu-sensei? This was Naruto's last hope of getting away from a terrible team. Sorry kid, no Naruto, the Hokage would kill me, very slowly kill me if I let a soon-to-be 9-year-old become an operative, no matter how skilled, Kakashi replied with a sigh of his own. I'll tell you what though, we have nearly another 2 years of me being able to teach you. I won't end up your Jonin sensei, I can confirm that much. The council has given me a special assignment for that. But I will be out of ANBU next August so that I can get some time away from special operations and resume normal shinobi duties. When August hits, you and I will be able to meet face to face finally, and I will still have plenty of time to train you when I don't have missions. For this next year, we will up your physical training, and try to get you faster, and I will try to teach you some B-ranked Fire Jutsu if I can, as well as continuing your Genjutsu training. After we meet face to face, I will teach you a personalized weapon of your choice, and if you are good, I'll get you your own weapon for your 10th birthday. How does that sound? Kakashi asked. He knew the easiest way to cheer the redhead up a bit was by bribing him with more and harder shinobi training. The kid loved to be challenged. Naruto immediately perked up at the thought of this. I mean, with all that extra training, does it really matter if my teammates aren't the best? I will be able to cover any of their deficiencies if any arise. And oh, new jutsu. Naruto was nearly drooling. Training truly was his favorite thing to do. You have yourself a deal, sensei. He replied. Okay, good, we are done for the day and you have class tomorrow, but I will meet you here for your morning training. I have a surprise for you. As Kakashi said this, he was cackling in his head. Naruto had no idea what he had just gotten himself into. I am going to run this boy into the ground. Hi, sensei. And with that the two made their way out of the clearing. Break. The next day saw our young red-headed friend arriving at Training Ground 7 to begin his training with Ina-sensei. Today was also his 9th birthday. I wonder what he has in store for me today. He thought to himself as Kakashi appeared in front of him in a swirl of leaves. And I hope I learn the Shunshin no Jutsu soon too. Good morning, Ina-sensei. What are we doing today? I am glad you asked, Naruto. I have a birthday gift for you here. Kakashi responded with far too much cheer in his voice as he handed Naruto a wrapped box package. Open up your present now. Naruto immediately perked up at the thought of a present. I mean, hey, he just turned 9. Oh boy, what is it? He chirped as he ripped the packaging off. Inside he found what looked like metallic wrist and ankle bands that were painted black with some red markings covering them. Sensei, are these supposed to be new additions to my shinobi uniform or something? Naruto asked with confusion. I don't know, Naruto, why don't you try them on? Kakashi replied with a nice smile. Not that Naruto could see still. Naruto just nodded and pulled them on over his shinobi tape for both his arms and legs. Now channel a very small amount of chakra into all 4 of the bands, Naruto. Okay. As Naruto took up a half-ram's seal and proceeded to pump chakra into the bands, he began to feel heavier. Hey, what the hell? He shouted before he collapsed to the ground, unable to move. Sensei! Is this supposed to happen? Help! Naruto cried out to his teacher. Said teacher could be seen dying with laughter. Kakashi was bent over holding his knees trying to regain his breath. Oh, I am sorry, Naruto-kun. But I just couldn't not try that out on you. You did what I expected you to and poured way too much chakra into those. They are chakra weights, and they are always to be worn from now on. To make them lighter, just focus on pulling the chakra back out of them, once the weight is still heavy. But at a level that you can move with only some difficulty, you can stop. I'd say a good starting weight for you may feel like 10 pounds on each of the bands, so once you feel that much, you should be good. That was just plain mean, Sensei, Naruto responded with a pout. Either way, he followed instructions and brought the weights to the specified level and stood back up. It felt weird to the redhead to be so weighed down. So, what are the points of these weights, Sensei? Naruto asked with his head tilted as he tried to get a feel for the weight. The point, Naruto-kun, is to try and make you A. stronger, and B. faster. If you can get back up to your regular training repetitions, I want you to up the weight again. Every time you catch back up to your normal reps that you have gotten to doing up until this point is when you should add, I don't know, say another 5 pounds to each of your limbs. You are at a point where you are developed enough, and you have the chakra and recovery abilities to start this training so young. I talked to the Jonin who is teaching your friend Rock Lee. He has started using weights as well, and I'll be damned if a student of mine falls behind a student of Might Guy's. Kakashi explained in a long-winded rant. Naruto just sweat dropped at this. So, I'm a competition tool for him? Whatever, training is training. So, you are saying I must be able to do 250 laps around the grounds, 1,000 reps for push-ups, squats, sit-ups, hello dollies, and flutter kicks, and 200 pull-ups with all this extra weight? That shouldn't take too long, should it? I mean, it sounds easy enough. He naively replied to his sensei. Easy, huh? You do realize that in the afternoons you will be doing Taijutsu spars with me while those weights are on, right? Kakashi told his student. Naruto just froze. Oh Lord, why? He asked himself. You know the drill, Naruto-kun. Get to it. You have to finish your exercises and make it back to the academy after all. Shoot for 500 reps of most of your stuff. Now begin. Naruto just gulped in response. He could move, but only just barely. Yes, sensei. Break. 4 months later saw Naruto eventually getting used to having the weights added onto his normal training. He currently had enough chakra pumped into them to make each weight weigh 20 pounds. He had added weight only 2 times since getting them for his birthday. In those 4 months, Inu had taught him another Genjutsu, getting him up to a total of 3 outside of the academy 2 that he knows. This technique was a C-ranked, and was called Demonic Illusion, False Surroundings no Jutsu. It simply changed the appearance of objects in the victim's view to throw them off balance in a fight. After always practicing his now moderate list of jutsu in spars with his Inu-sensei, he was just starting to learn the basics of a new Fire Jutsu. It was the B-rank that Inu-sensei had promised to try and teach him. This one was called the Blast Wave Wild Dance no Jutsu. Inu told him the user needs to knead the chakra inside their body and convert it into fire. Then they need to expel a large stream of the fire from their mouth. The stream should be drawn into a spiral when the user expands their stomach, which then engulfs the target in a blazing vortex of fire. This was the hardest technique Naruto had ever tried to learn, but he was determined to get it done before he turned 10. His Taijutsu training had proved fruitful. His speed had allowed the style to become truly deadly. Inu-sensei that there would be very few experienced genin who could now give Naruto a run for his money. Back at the academy, Neji no only ever won the rare 1 out of 5 fights against Naruto when sparred. This did nothing to prevent him from always talking down to the orphan though, something that pissed off our resident redhead and vexed him. The only other student who got Naruto to work up a sweat during Taijutsu training was Lee. Ever since he started learning the Goken, the kid had turned into a Taijutsu monster. Since Naruto was always eating healthy, and he trained his muscles so much he had a small growth spurt, making him somewhere in the middle for height amongst his classmates now. He was standing at 4 foot 8 inches. Lee was the tallest boy in the class, being at 5 feet tall. Naruto still wore the same style of uniform of what was originally given to him, but he had traded the blue out for all dark brown now. He replaced his white shinobi tape with a black alternative, and kept his shinobi sandals black as well. He had started to wear his red hair in the same style as the Yondaime Hokage, who after ANBU operatives, was who his idols were. If he had a successful career in ANBU, he could see himself trying to become Hokage as well and added that goal to his dreams as well, but ANBU was still the priority to him. Naruto expected the next few months to be nerve-wracking. He would soon officially meet his Inu-sensei, and be allowed to get to know his mentor. He was truly looking forward to that day, and until then, he planned to train as hard as possible to make the man as proud of him as possible. Being promised higher-level training had kindled another fire within Naruto. This fire was pushing him harder than before, forcing him to get better and better at using the techniques he already knew, trying to keep up with Inu during spars. The next few months promised to be a slay fest indeed for our young shinobi friend. Another 2 months had passed by for Naruto. He was currently sitting through his class in the academy. Iruka-sensei was going over the academy jutsu again. Okay everyone, now let's run through the last jutsu for the day, and we can head outside for some taijutsu sparring and weapons training. Iruka announced to the class. Everyone maintain a line, and once you make it to me perform the clone no jutsu with at least 2 copies of yourself. Naruto and the other students let out a chorus of "Hi Sensei," and proceeded to follow the Chunin instructor's request. Soon enough the line was thinning out as everyone got to practice the jutsu. Every here and there a student wouldn't be able to perform the jutsu properly, but instead of being ridiculed, they were given notes to help with improving their technique from Iruka and Ebisu-sensei. After a good amount of time, the people Naruto associated with made it to the front. Okay Lee, you know the drill. Just try your best, and we will see if you have improved any from your last attempt. Iruka encouraged the dead last student of this year. Hi Sensei. If I should fail to master this jutsu, then I shall run 100 laps around the academy on my hands. Lee passionately cried to the ceiling on the classroom. This prompted everyone present to sweat drop just a little bit. Lee had become very eccentric ever since he started training in taijutsu under Mike Guy. That's nice Lee, but could you just attempt the jutsu now? Iruka requested, a tick mark on his forehead indicating that he was beginning to become annoyed with the boy. There were 3 other students left. Sorry Iruka-sensei. Tiger, boar, ox, dog. Clone no jutsu. Lee shouted as he gave his best effort in performing the jutsu for the class. At the end of Lee's hand seal sequence, a cloud of smoke surrounded the central floor of the classroom, causing a few nearby students to start coughing. When the smoke cleared, Lee was the only thing standing in the center of the room, an indication that the boy had failed to perform the jutsu correctly. Iruka just looked at his student sadly. He tried so very hard to overcome his deficiency when it came to his chakra coils, but there was only so much he could do. Lee's grades in taijutsu, weapons training, and the academics were the only things keeping him afloat at the dead last level in the class. Come time for the final exam, if Lee missed 1 too many questions on the written test, or missed 1 kunai too many, he wouldn't even be able to graduate. Well Lee, good attempt as always. My only advice for you is to just try some more chakra control exercises to see if you can expand your coils. Who knows, by the time the final test comes along you may just have the Academy 3 down pat. The sensei tried to encourage. At this point Ebisu-sensei decided to chime in on the happenings of the classroom. I agree with Iruka on this Lee, perhaps more chakra control will help you out. Why don't you stay after class and I will tutor you on the leaf balancing exercise to see if we can get you to advance any at all. Lee got excited at the opportunity to try and improve himself, and was about to respond in the affirmative when the student behind him decided to saddle himself into the conversation. Why do you bother with this dead last loser at all senseis? Neji interjected. This fool has no talent as a shinobi. He will only be a risk to the lives of his comrades out on missions. That much is clear. Fate has deemed him incapable of becoming a true shinobi. The arrogant Hyuga announced loudly for the entire class to hear. This had become a more and more common occurrence, especially with how Naruto had ended up eclipsing Neji the closer they got to graduation. He had become spiteful after losing his Rookie of the Year title to some orphan, and the elders back at the clan compound had made it clear that they were not happy he was being beaten out by an upstart. Since Naruto was the top of the class, and always just ignored him when he deemed his time worthy of insulting the redhead, he eventually found a new outlet for his frustrations. Unfortunately for Lee, that outlet was himself. Neji now took every opportunity he could to insult Lee and demean him. This only ever prompted Lee to try even harder in the shinobi disciplines, but he had yet to defeat Neji in a taijutsu spar at all. The only one who ever had or ever could beat Neji out was Naruto, but Neji just pretended that he never suffered a defeat from our resident mini Anbu. Iruka and Ebisu had been getting more and more frustrated with their student insulting his own classmate, especially one of the few who tried so hard. They couldn't understand it as it went against a lot of the Leaf Village's principles of teamwork and helping one another. Iruka decided to put a stop to the bullying, especially since it was so blatant and in front of the instructors no less. Neji, how many times must we go over this? You cannot just insult your fellow classmates for trying their best. Everyone is different, and not always blessed with the capabilities to do well in some things in life. Lee is ranked 3rd in the class when it comes to taijutsu in case you have forgotten. Just behind yourself in the number 2 spot I might add. Iruka reprimanded the boy. This comment about Neji being second to someone only caused a sneer to appear on his face. He still could not comprehend how someone who started off as the class's dead last the first couple of months in the academy had become the Rookie of the Year. Before the instructors were changed, that spot had steadfastly belonged to himself, and then ever since that damn no-named loser had slowly caught up to him, and eventually beaten him. It conflicted with his view of fate far more than he was comfortable with, and it is obvious that the person in the top spot must be a cheat if he can beat out a Hyuga in anything Taijutsu related. We are the premier Taijutsu experts in the elemental nations and everyone knows this as fact. The notion that that loser of an Uzumaki is the holder of the number 1 spot is simply absurd. Neji ranted out. This comment got a lot of gasps throughout the classroom. Everyone else, although their parents told them to stay away from Naruto, respected the boy's prowess as a shinobi in training. They weren't oblivious to what the boy could do, they had all sparred with him numerous times over the years, and he had always stomped over everyone he fought excluding Neji. They also had caught on to the fact that their first instructors had been completely unfair to Naruto, and must have just simply hated him for something his parents may have done. After all, they were all told to avoid him, and he was an orphan, so the rest of the class just assumed he was the child of enemy shinobi that the Hokage let be raised in the village after he was orphaned. Neji was the only genin hopeful who could not see nor accept this fact of life. This comment also prompted Naruto to respond, something he rarely ever did in class. So, the second best isn't happy with me, is he? Naruto said this after silently appearing over Neji's shoulder. This caused the older boy to flinch and to spin around to face the redhead. If you are so sure about your taijutsu being better than my own, how about you and I be sparring partners after ninjutsu training? What do you say to that, second best? The whole time while speaking, Naruto just slowly let a smirk make its way to his face. Everyone was stunned. Naruto never got riled up by what any of the others said to him. He always preferred to keep to himself, occasionally only ever talking to Lee or the senseis. Neji, in his blind arrogance, quickly agreed to the proposed face-off. I agree, no name. Then all will see you for the loser that you are. Iruka has had enough of the Peacock show after this and decided to intervene. Easy, you two. You can go up against each other, but for now, let's get the show moving. Naruto, can you please get back in line behind Tenten and allow Neji to execute the jutsu so we can finish quickly? He announced. Of course, Iruka-sensei. I apologize for the disturbance. Naruto respectfully replied. Inu-sensei had drilled into him a sense of respect for those in the teaching profession, as well as for those above him in rank. After this, the last 3 who needed to perform the jutsu quickly nailed it, and the class was ushered outside for taijutsu sparring. Over the course of the next hour, Naruto just smirked over at Neji whenever he caught the wide-eyed Hyuga glaring in his direction. Normally he wouldn't care about the arrogant prick's posturing, but he had been especially getting on his nerves lately. Today, he was going to completely humiliate the asshole back into the first year of the academy. Soon enough, it had come down to being just Naruto and Neji left, purposely saved for last by Ebisu-sensei, who was holding the clipboard with names while Iruka refereed. Neji Hyuga will now face off against Naruto Uzumaki. Will you two please make your way to the center of the ring, please? Ebisu-sensei announced. The whole training yard got so quiet you could head a pin drop. All the students had been anticipating this match. The 2 top students duking it out was always a sight to behold. Naruto and Neji made their way to the center of the ring and faced each other. Noticing that the boys were stuck in a glare match, he tried to grab their attention. For the final match of the day, we have Neji versus Naruto. No weapons are allowed, and neither are any jutsu. This is a purely taijutsu spar. Do both fighters understand? A response of obviously and a high sensei were heard from the 2 students, a guess as to which was which. Good, now both fighters give the symbol of combat, and bow to your opponent. Iruka instructed. Naruto complied without complaint, and Neji responded with barely a nod of his head. That's probably the best we will get out of him. Iruka thought to himself with a frown directed at the Hyuga. A blatant sign of disrespect for your fellow student and future comrade did not sit well with the young Chunin instructor. Very well, let the match begin. Iruka announced with a knife hand cutting through the air to signal the start of the contest of fists. Naruto immediately slid into a stance that no one else at the academy had seen him take before. Naruto was known as being a genius when it came to the academy style. He knew it all the way up to the advanced forms that wouldn't be covered until their last year. This one differed in that he seemed lighter on his feet as opposed to the academy's lower, more grounded stance. Naruto appeared to be balanced on the balls of his feet and was bouncing slightly between feet, and his hands were held in front of him with his palms loosely held open. Neji took notice to this and sneered. Do you think a new fighting style will suit you any better, you fool? You cannot defeat the gentle fist style in close quarters combat. That's why you rarely ever defeat me in taijutsu battles, now is it Neji-chan? Naruto responded with a smirk and a condescending tone. This once again shocked the other students. Naruto didn't believe in trash talking usually. I am sick of this prick shit. I'm pulling the kunai out of his ass today if it is the last thing I do. Naruto thought to himself. In response to the jibe, Neji just sneered and activated his Byakugan eyes. That's it, upstart. I am going to tear you apart. And with a slide into the gentle fist's basic stance, Neji rushed forward to engage Naruto and close off his tenketsu. 8 trigrams 16 palms, he announced once he reached the waiting redhead and proceeded to try and strike him. Try being the key word. Naruto was just slipping past all the strikes like his body was water. He did this by slightly stepping backwards and redirecting the palm strikes. Naruto was also whacking Neji's forearms with 2 knuckles every time he deflected a strike. By the time Neji had reached the end of his family's technique, his hands were feeling numb. Neji growled and tried to finish the technique with at least one good hit but was slammed in the chin with a palm heel strike after Naruto decided to go on the offensive and slip into his guard. The strike rattled Neji's jaw shut and prompted him to fall flat on his back from the blow. How was he able to avoid all my attacks? How could he hit me? Neji thought to himself as he tried to get back up into a fighting stance. Naruto was just standing in his ready stance, waiting for Neji to get back up or yield. Wasn't that one of the great Hyuga's best taijutsu techniques, Neji-chan? Naruto prodded with that smirk still sitting on his face. He was enjoying riling up the bastard at this point. It was entertaining. How did you end up on the ground? Did you mess up? Oh, I know, he continued, slowly slipping into a menacing frown as Neji finally got back to his feet. I must have cheated to be able to slip into your guard and defeat your technique, right? It is the only way an almighty Hyuga could lose to some no-named orphan after all. Naruto let out with a growl. This was extremely out of character for Naruto. He was usually so calm and collected. Neji must have really pissed him off for the last time. This arrogant ass is getting what's coming to him today, that is for sure. Naruto thought. You got to do your attack, now I get to do mine, and I'll even finish this fight and humiliate you quickly and save you some shame, he said to the boy across from him. Right after he said that, he pulled his chakra back from his training weights to give him a faster burst of speed, and quickly sprinted into Neji's guard faster than he could react. Upon reaching the Hyuga, Naruto had to dodge an instinctual palm strike from Neji, but he just did a slip to the outside of the blow and got Neji into a wrist lock. After securing the wrist, he kneed the back of Neji's leg while using his left arm to apply pressure to his tricep, and quickly pinned Neji to the dirt. With the Hyuga struggling underneath him, Naruto spoke. So almighty Hyuga, do you yield? Never, you fool, I refuse to lose to some no-named upstart. Neji shouted, writhing on the ground. So be it, Neji-chan, I gave you a chance. Naruto responded. He then got ready to finish his pinned opponent. Iruka and Ebisu took notice of this and got ready to intervene, but then to their shock and the rest of the students, faster than they could blink they heard a resounding snapping sound in the yard, followed by wails of pain. Naruto had taken the wristlock into an armbar in that time between the blink of an eye and had promptly given Neji a spiral fracture on his right arm. Everyone was just left gaping open-mouthed at the scene before them. Naruto had just literally destroyed the Hyuga without getting hit once and had done so when Neji had tried to use one of his clan's coveted techniques. After beating the boy and getting a refusal of surrender, Naruto had broken the other student's arm without hesitation. With Iruka and Ebisu, they were thinking just about the same thing as the other. Who in the world taught an academy student that style? And how the hell is he so good at it already? They were asking themselves. Neither of the two knew the style firsthand, they had just seen some of their comrades using it in friendly spars. Most Jonin instructors would practice with their friends in A and B when they had a chance, just to make sure they themselves weren't getting rusty, and could improve to be able to secure their Jonin promotions. They both knew one thing, however, after witnessing Naruto literally stomp on Neji. Naruto had been receiving training outside of the academy. There was no doubt about that now. The only question was who was training the Uzumaki, and just what else Naruto knew that they were not aware of. The wails of Neji had eventually shook them out of their stupor, and as the adults present at the scene assumed their respective roles. Winner of the match is Naruto Uzumaki. Ebisu-sensei, would you please bring Neji to the infirmary so that they can fit him for a cast and reset his arm? Thank you, Iruka announced. Ebisu complied and helped the crying boy back up and led him away from the training yard. Now that taijutsu training is over, let us head over to the target area and start with shuriken, Iruka said, trying to get everyone out of their shock of what Naruto just did to their classmate. I am going to have to ask Hokage-sama about this. Iruka thought to himself. With all of the students lining up in front of targets, he put his thoughts in the back of his mind and got back to teaching. Break. Later that day in the Hokage's office, Iruka had just gotten to the large oaken doors of his village leader's office. The Anbu guard gave him a nod and promptly opened the door to allow him entry. The wrinkled Sandaime was in the corner of the office, looking out the window towards the Hokage monument, smoking on his pipe. Upon hearing his academy instructor entering, he turned and greeted the young man with a smile. Iruka-kun, how good to see you. I trust that you are enjoying your stay at the academy still, yes? Hiruzen asked. And please come have a seat. He gestured towards a chair as he made his way behind his desk and sat in his own. Thank you, Hokage-sama. And yes, the academy is going just fine. I enjoy teaching my class very much. I am here today though to bring up some concerns and questions I have involving one of my students though. Iruka responded. This got Hiruzen to raise his eyebrows. Oh, and which student would this be? Naruto Uzumaki, Hokage-sama. We had an incident during Taijutsu sparring, and Naruto revealed something troubling. This immediately got the aged Sarutobi's attention. Naruto really was like a grandson to him. He saw the boy several times a week for ramen, or just to hang out in the office when the boy was on a break from his training. What happened with Naruto-kun, Iruka? He asked worriedly. Iruka took notice of the affectionate honorific at the end of Naruto's name, but didn't mention it. Naruto literally stomped on Neji Hyuga during his spar and proceeded to snap Neji's arm when he refused to give up in their match. Naruto reacted before either Ebisu or I could intervene. It was completely out of character. But Naruto also displayed something different at the academy-style Taijutsu, and that is my main concern, Hokage-sama. Now this certainly got Hiruzen's attention. It would appear Naruto-kun dipped into his knowledge of the Rising Shadow style to make quick work of the Hyuga. Now I know what the concern is. Naruto used A and B level techniques against the student. I wonder what got Naruto-kun so riled up. Well, what style would you say he used, Iruka-kun? Did you recognize it? He asked, feigning ignorance to the situation. Iruka took a breath, not sure how to word this. Well, Hokage-sama, I think one of your ANBU operatives, or a retiree, are training Naruto in the Rising Shadow style. That style is simply too advanced for a genin to know, so that begs the question of how an academy student is so knowledgeable in it. I knew that Naruto was talented in Taijutsu once he already knew most of the academy style once I took on the role of his teacher, but this is too much. He broke a fellow student's arm today, and it doesn't look like he regrets it. Well, Iruka-kun, I know exactly how Naruto is so knowledgeable in that style. It is because he has been trained in it for a number of years. The Hokage responded. To say that Iruka was shocked would be an understatement. Are you telling me that you knew about this the entire time, Hokage-sama? He questioned in disbelief. Hiruzen let out a long sigh after this. Why, yes, I am Iruka-kun. You see, back when Naruto was just 6 years old, I found him on the streets being assaulted by villagers. Anbu were with me when we rescued him, and ever since then, Naruto has wanted to be just like my operatives. I believe it is because they can be respected shinobi, but never have to show their faces. Naruto knows his fellow villagers despise him, and he figures he can garner their respect through his actions, so long as they do not know it is really him that did anything. So ever since that day, I have allowed one of my operatives to tutor Naruto-kun during his spare time. This truly shocked Iruka. If Naruto has been receiving training from an ANBU for over 3 years, just how good is he? What I want to know though, Iruka-kun, is what got Naruto so angry that he would purposely injure a fellow student. He is usually so calm and collected, a sign of his ANBU training. Hiruzen asked with curiosity. Well, you see, Hokage-sama, Neji called Naruto a no-name cheat again after Rock Lee failed to make a single clone during jutsu training. Naruto took serious offense to that this time and challenged Neji right then and there to be sparring partners today. During the spar, Neji attacked with the 8 trigrams, but he couldn't even touch Naruto, and Naruto just proceeded to destroy him instantly. My Naruto-kun, to be defeating the genius of the Hyuga clan in Taijutsu. I knew you were the top of your class, a sign of all your hard work paying off, but I didn't expect you to be this good. Just what has Kakashi been showing this boy? Hiruzen kept to himself. Well, be that as it may, Iruka-kun, what seems to be the issue? Naruto has my permission to be learning those techniques after all. Iruka wasn't sure how to respond to that. Well, Hokage-sama, I just wasn't sure if you were aware. Now that I know that you are, I guess there isn't one. But if I may ask, even with Naruto's past, why would you approve such advanced training for the boy, especially after what happened with Itachi Uchiha? He questioned. Not that situation brought up to haunt me again. I get this enough from the council. Hiruzen mused again. Well, you are aware that Naruto is our Jinchuriki. Naruto is expected to become an A-ranked ninja at the very least. He is to be a deterrent of war. Naruto asked for the training, and as the leader of this village, I would be a fool to let that dedication and talent go to waste. It was also a good way to keep Danzo away from the boy. This way, Naruto is training to be one of my Anbu, and not one of that man's secret rude agents that he thinks I don't know about. I see, Hokage-sama, said Iruka with a frown. So, the boy truly is to be viewed as a weapon for the village then? He asked with some distaste. This prompted Hiruzen to give Iruka a hard look. Do not make a mistake, Iruka-kun, I love the boy like a grandson, but he has his role in this village, just like all my shinobi do. He is willing to become an Anbu. Who am I to hold him back? This village is lucky that I could find Naruto a mentor before they ruined that boy and any chances of him loving the village. Now, he is determined to defend it behind a mask. He wants to be a true shinobi and I won't fault him that. I only ask that you don't fault me for letting the boy try and achieve his dreams. I did not purposely put him down this path. It is one that he has chosen, and one I could not be prouder of. He told the Chunin seriously. Iruka got sheepish at this, a bit embarrassed to anger his leader. My apologies, Hokage-sama. I was just worried for my student. I did not mean any offense. Hiruzen smiled at this. Don't worry, Iruka-kun, no harm done. I can't fault the teacher for worrying over a student. Now on to other matters. How do you feel you are coming along towards a Jonin rank? Now Iruka had a caught-in-headlights look. Say what? Break. While this was happening, Naruto was back at training ground 7 with Inu. So, you broke the Hyuga's arm? Kakashi asked his student, trying to sound mean and menacing, but internally laughing at the mental image. Naruto just met the man's eyes with a blank stare. I was getting sick of the prick's holier-than-thou attitude and decided to take him down a peg. The bastard called me a no-name cheat. I was not going to stand for that. It was easy once I disengaged my weights. Fighting without an extra 30 pounds on each limb really makes a difference. The boy responded seriously. Kakashi finally did chuckle at this. Relax, Naruto-kun. I am not angry, I'm impressed you decimated a Hyuga so efficiently. Just goes to show what an amazing instructor I am. Be that as it may, you did unveil the Rising Shadow style, and I can promise your instructors took note of it, and are asking the Hokage about it as we speak. As punishment for letting one of your secrets slip, I am upping your training some more. Add another 10 pounds to each of your limbs. It is time for a Taijutsu spar with me, he told the boy with a menacing grin that he could not see. Oh boy. Naruto gulped. Hi sensei, he responded as he resigned himself to his fate. Break. Time skipped to August. Naruto was being observed by Inu going through his ninjutsu arsenal. He had already run through his C-rank techniques and was trying out a new C-ranked Genjutsu before moving on to trying to complete his 1B-ranked Fire Ninjutsu. This technique was called the Sly Mind Effect no Jutsu and caused the one under its affects to run around in circles. If it doesn't get detected by the victim, it can cause exhaustion both physically and mentally as it prevents one from reaching their desired destination. Snake, boar, bird, snake. Sly Mind Effect no Jutsu. Naruto thought as he ran through the sequence, and tried to apply the jutsu onto Inu. Kakashi noticed his surroundings change slightly, and detected the application of foreign chakra on him. He quickly broke out of it with a burst of chakra. Good job, Naruto-kun, you got that one down pat as well now. Why don't you try the Blast Wave Wild Dance no Jutsu now? Kakashi encouraged his young charge. Yes, sensei, was the response as Naruto turned to target a training log. Here goes, tiger, snake, boar, dog, boar, snake, bird, monkey, tiger. Blast Wave Wild Dance no Jutsu, Naruto screamed in his mind as he developed the chakra necessary for the technique. After building up the spiral blaze in his stomach, Naruto unleashed the jutsu. A small vortex of flame came out of his mouth towards the log, consumed it, and continued towards the forest. Kakashi saw this and decided to put the fire out. A rapid hand seal sequence later, and a giant water dragon went off and turned the burning vortex into a cloud of steam. Once it cleared away and proved no more flames were present, Kakashi spoke up. Well, you have most of the technique down now. Now it is just a matter of control and making it more powerful. The second stage of your fire style training would probably help with that, but it is not something I want you working on until after you graduate. That goes the same for your water style. You already know far more than most Chunin now. I want you to just master all the elemental ninjutsu you have at this point. I may teach you some harder genjutsu over our last year of training together, but that will probably be it. He told the redhead. Yes, sensei, I know it's not a matter of how many jutsu you know, but one of being a master at what you do know. I am a little bummed out that I won't learn any water jutsu or water manipulation training until I am older. Naruto replied with a small sigh. He truly enjoyed ninjutsu training and would love to take a crack at mastering water. He took most of everything Inu ever said to him to heart, though he obviously knew best. Still though, you know enough to get you a Chunin promotion a few months being out of the academy. I promise you that much, Naruto. Better yet, do you know what today is? Kakashi asked with an unseen eye smile. It's August 1st, isn't it, sensei? Naruto asked carefully. He wasn't sure where the older man was getting at with this. Exactly, it's the 1st of August. Now, what did I tell you would happen in August of this year, Naruto-kun? Inu asked wryly. After that it finally clicked in Naruto's head. Oh. Is today the day you retire from Anbu sense? Naruto asked excitedly. He had been waiting a very long time to officially meet his sensei. After today he would be able to meet his mentor, get to know him better after this. That's right, my student, and Hokage-sama has already decommissioned me as a captain. As of today I am now a Jonin of the Hidden Leaf Village. I guess it is time I formally introduce myself, isn't it? The older man asked as he moved to take off his dog mask. After pulling it away it revealed a young man who looked to still be under the age of 25. It was hard to tell, since he wore a black cloth mask over most of his face covering up to his nose. He also had a leaf headband covering his left eye. Hello Naruto Uzumaki, my name is Kakashi Hatake, the last member, and clan head to the Hatake clan here in the Leaf Village. I have been your sensei for these near 4 years now. Do you have any questions for me? The now properly introduced Kakashi asked Naruto with an eye smile. Naruto was excited to meet his sensei after all this time. I didn't know you were the head of a clan, sensei. How long have you been a Jonin in Anbu, though, if you don't mind me asking? No, it's fine. I made Jonin when I was 12 years old. I had graduated the academy at 5, and Chunin at 6. It was wartime though, and the village needed as many shinobi as possible out in the field. The standard for passing the Genin test was lower back then due to the need to bolster our forces, so don't dwell on that. I got into Anbu not too far from being 13. I had lost both of my teammates during the war, and used Anbu as a coping tool. Kakashi replied with a faraway look in his eyes. Naruto was amazed by this, and saddened. I'm sorry, Kakashi-sensei. I didn't mean to bring up any bad memories for you. It's alright, Naruto-kun, but on to happier topics. I told you that I would help you learn a weapon of your choice. What would you like to learn? Asked Kakashi. Well, what did you use when you were in Anbu, sensei? Was the response he got. Well, Kakashi said as he reached behind him and pulled a small blade from a sheath attached to the small of his back. My own father taught me to use a tanto. I guess if you think about it, this would be the best weapon for me to teach you to use. You sure this is what you want to learn, or would you prefer a slightly longer blade to give you more reach? The tanto should be more than enough, Kakashi-sensei. It is actually known by you, so it would leave the best instruction, and I hear it is used by most leaf shinobi. Very well. If that is the case, I guess we can get started. And so Kakashi started teaching Naruto on how the Anbu used the tanto for close quarters combat and assassinations. Break, time skip, 1 year later, and 1 month away from the Genin graduation exam for Naruto. We find our red-headed friend, now nearly 11 years old, and almost a Genin. Over the past year, he has spent most of it refining all jutsu, trying to master them all. Currently his schedule consisted of waking up bright and early, and training at 5 in the morning for his physical exercise. He routinely would up his weights whenever he got back to the reps his sensei set out for him to do. Now because of this, his weights were set to a staggering 100 pounds on each of his limbs. This got his normal speed up to a ridiculous level for a soon-to-be Genin graduate. Kakashi ranked his speed right now with the weights on to be high Chunin level. Whenever he took them off, this set him to low Jonin level speeds. A huge accomplishment for one so young and not even a shinobi yet. The rest of his mornings, and some of his afternoons were spent in class at the academy. He still retained the Rookie of the Year spot for his class. After the academy, he still made his way over to Training Ground 7 every day to work on his weapons training. Kakashi said he was adept at using the tanto that was gifted to him for his 10th birthday. It was a replica to his sensei's white light chakra saber, but it didn't have the same abilities. It was just made of chakra conducting metals so that Naruto could eventually use his fire element in conjunction with it. When using kunai and shuriken on targets, Naruto never missed. He had taken to using ninja wire with his shuriken as well, considering one of his fire jutsus, and had gotten his coordination up to a level that would make an Uchiha proud. He had also picked up on using Saban. They were light, and hard to detect. These were great for slowing an opponent down, and Naruto knew that as an ANBU he would have to do a lot of capture-alive missions. He had learned another Genjutsu from his sensei as well over the course of the year. This newest one was a B rank. It was the demonic illusion, Tree Bind Death no Jutsu. The user disappears from plain sight in a mist-like fashion in order to sneak up on an opponent. Then a fast-growing mirage of a tree snares the victim in its clutches so that the user can slit the opponent's throat, or it can be used to scare an opponent into giving up vital information. As for ninjutsu, Naruto had been just trying to get better at executing his jutsu, faster and getting more comfortable with the memorized hand seal sequences. Kakashi drilled into him a sense of having fast hand seals, as it could be a matter of life or death in a battlefield situation. He had gotten his B-ranked Fire Jutsu up to a combat level form, but it wasn't as big or controlled as he wanted it to be. Taijutsu-wise, Naruto would routinely spar with Kakashi on top of a pond of water, using the water-walking chakra control exercise to keep him afloat. Getting a head start on how to do this would mean a lot for Naruto's career as a genin, as it was one of the last things a genin squad is taught before they usually take on the Chunin exams. All in all, the past year had been a blast for Naruto. He and Kakashi would sometimes just hang out without any training attached. This gave Naruto a much-needed bond that he didn't know that he was missing. He had someone besides the Hokage that he truly looked up to. Naruto was very confident with the genin exams approaching. There was no doubt in his mind that he would pass. Then after that and being plagued by D-rank missions for a few months and a few C-ranks, he would be allowed to compete in the Chunin exams. He honestly couldn't wait. With most of his training as an academy student complete, all that's left is graduation. Today was finally the day. Naruto had been training relentlessly for nearly 5 years now, all in the hopes of becoming a skilled shinobi. With thanks to his sensei Kakashi, he had become extremely fluent in most shinobi disciplines. His taijutsu, by knowing 2 styles, was diverse and gave him enough flexibility in a fight. He knew the very style of the Leaf Village's prestigious ANBU Black Ops, and over the years Kakashi had taught him to use it to great effect. Constant spars after the academy gave Naruto the experience he needed to learn to properly utilize this fighting style. Kakashi placed his skills in taijutsu somewhere near a high chunin, mostly thanks to the speed and power all his weight training had afforded him. Those weights were currently sitting at 105 pounds each. He had upped them one more time earlier this week. With these weights off, Kakashi told him that he bridged the gap to low Jonin levels in taijutsu. He had never lost a match to Neji Hyuga in a spar at the academy ever again after that brutal beatdown he had dished out. The cat was out of the bag about his skill. In weapons, the only person in his own graduating class that eclipsed him was Tenten. He had slightly better accuracy than she did when it came to kunai, shuriken, and senbon, but the girl had so much more versatility, as she used what seemed to be every weapon on the spectrum. Being adopted by a weaponsmith may have a huge influence on that kunoichi's shinobi preferences, but who was Naruto to judge? She was an okay student in his own mind, if only she could get over the prick of a Hyuga who he knew she would be on a team with. Kakashi placed his skills with thrown weapons to be about average for a chunin, but his shuriken skills might be considered high, due to his use of shinobi wire. When it came to the tanto that Kakashi-sensei had gifted him, he was rated at a high genin level. It was to be expected. It was the thing he had worked on the least in comparison to all his other training. A tanto didn't really require a Genjutsu style, it mostly just augmented one's taijutsu, and luckily for him it went well for both the academy style and his rising shadow style. Both were made with tantos in mind since that was the most common weapon used by Leaf Shinobi. In terms of Genjutsu, that had really been the biggest surprise to Naruto and Kakashi. Originally, Kakashi thought that Naruto would have no talent in the art, his larger-than-normal chakra reserves being the key reason. Kakashi knew that this was because of the Kyubi no Kitsune, or the nine-tailed fox if you will. This secret was still being kept from the redhead. Kakashi and Hiruzen had just told him that his parents must have been a pair of powerful shinobi. This may have been true, but they both knew Naruto's reserves were far too large still for his age. With these larger reserves, the 2 older shinobi had thought that Naruto would have serious trouble with Genjutsu and lower-level techniques. This carried over to any chakra control exercises as well. Little did they know that by getting Naruto started on taking the shinobi disciplines and chakra control seriously at such a young age, they had rescued him from having terrible control for the rest of his life. If Naruto had been left without supervision, his chakra would have continued to grow, without him ever being able to get used to siphoning his chakra properly for specific techniques. By starting while his reserves were still relatively small, his control grew with his reserves, and allowed him better control of his ninjutsu and genjutsu. Kakashi could confidently label Naruto as high chunin in terms of the illusionary art. I mean, after all, the kid knew a B-ranked Genjutsu, and had gotten good at using it in spars. Where Naruto truly shined though was what all Jinchuriki were meant to be. Being a ninjutsu specialist. With his large reserves, and his control over his fire element, Naruto was easily low Jonin level already. He had a neat little repertoire of jutsu that he could use to roast his opponents alive. With all of this, Naruto was going to do just fine today during the graduation, and he had no worries whatsoever. He was ready to take the day and claim his headband, or his hitaiite as it was traditionally called. Our young shinobi was currently sitting in the back of his academy classroom, waiting for the new instructor to call him into the exam room. Ebisu sensei had ended up getting a promotion to special Jonin a couple of weeks ago, and was replaced by some guy named Mizuki. Naruto didn't like him much. If Iruka wasn't around, Naruto was sure this new guy would treat him the same as his first academy instructors did. Naruto Uzumaki. You're next. The bluish-haired Chunin finally called out. Well, it's time, I guess. Naruto mused to himself as he stood up and made his way down the steps and through the door to the exam room. Upon entering, he saw Iruka-sensei sitting behind a desk with a clipboard and an assortment of hitaiite in dark blue, black, brown, and gray on top. Iruka smiled upon seeing his favorite student, not that he would ever tell the boy that. Iruka and Naruto had a kinship in that they were both orphans. Iruka had on occasion treated the red-headed boy to Ichiraku ramen whenever he was particularly impressive during school. Naruto had a sharp mind, and paid attention during the history, strategy, analytical, math, and science classes. Iruka viewed Naruto as the perfectly well-rounded student, just as he prided himself on being the perfectly well-rounded shinobi. Iruka made it his business to know at least an average amount in all shinobi disciplines. Good morning, Naruto-kun, are you ready for your graduation test? The scarred Chunin asked with a small smile. Of course, Iruka-sensei, we already completed the written, weapons, and taijutsu portions. What makes you think I'll be nervous about the jutsu? Naruto responded and asked with a sly smile. Iruka chuckled at this. All the instructors here knew that the exam was just a formality in terms of Naruto Uzumaki becoming a genin. He was the Rookie of the Year, as displayed by all his grades up until this point. Iruka had already graded the students on all the other test portions. Naruto sat above Neji by about 3 points in his average, with Naruto having a perfect score so far. Wonderful, Naruto, now you know the 3 jutsu, in order of Henge, Kawarimi, and finally Bunshin, you may begin your exam. Iruka announced. Hi, sensei. Was all the response before Naruto began going through hand signs. A second later, an exact copy of Iruka was standing in the center of the room. Good job, Naruto. As usual, I can't spot any flaws. Iruka commented as Naruto swapped places with the chair off to the side of the room. Excellent, Naruto. I didn't know you learned to do Kawarimi without hand signs. I'll mark you down for extra credit for that. The Chunin said as he made a note by Naruto's grades so far. Naruto released his henge at this point and swapped places again with the chair. Now back in the middle of the room, he ran through the hand signs for the Bunshin, and soon 4 Narutos were in the room. Good job, Naruto, perfect clones. Congratulations, you passed the Genin examination with a score of 103 for your seal-less Kawarimi. Please come and select a hitaiite of your preference. Iruka told the redhead with pride and a smile. Naruto made his way to the desk and chose one of the dark brown hitaiite and bowed to his senseis as he made his way out of the room. That boy is going to go places. I think I'll treat him to ramen later if I can find him. Iruka thought as Naruto left. Someone else in the room wasn't as pleased with Naruto doing so well on the exams. Damn that demon brat. How can everyone be okay with that monster parading around as one of our shinobi? There is nothing I can do about it now. I may as well leave this village. It is just a matter of how to do that. It could take years of planning if I don't want to be tracked as a missing nin, were the dark thoughts of the other instructor in the room. Break. Back in the large classroom, all the genin who had passed were waiting for their instructors to return. Naruto had assumed his seat once again and took note of who had passed. Neji, Lee, and Tenten had all made it apparently. Lee was being taken as an apprentice, he knew that much. That was why he could skip the ninjutsu portion of the exam, defaulting to the lowest possible passing grade one could achieve on the exam, but passing, nonetheless. Naruto noted that about 50% of his classmates had failed the exam. He honestly shouldn't be too surprised. He regarded the majority of the genin hopefuls as pathetic. Naruto was just wondering who would end up on his team at the end of this all. Eventually Iruka-sensei and Mizuki-sensei had came back into the room. Iruka proceeded to address the graduates. Okay everyone, congratulations on passing the exam. All of you have the next week off for you to take care of your administrative paperwork at the Hokage Tower. Be back here next Friday for your team assignments. And with that all the new genin began to file out to go and see their parents and celebrate their success. Break. Naruto was currently sitting at Ichiraku Ramen with Kakashi when Irika found him. The boy was chatting amiably with the the chef Tochi's daughter. Irika still hadn't met the man who had been tutoring Naruto all these years. At this point, he was wondering why Naruto was sitting next to a Jonin. Hey Naruto-kun, finally found you. I should have known you would be here after the exams. How about one of your bowls be on me as congratulations? Irika asked the boy with a grin. This caused Naruto and Kakashi to turn towards the man. Irika-sensei. You bet. Come on and have a seat. Naruto gestured to the stool on the other side of him which was open. Irika took the seat and greeted Ayame and Tochi when he spotted them and then noticed that Naruto was speaking to the Jonin. So Kakashi-sensei, how is training going to work now that I will be assigned to another Jonin? Will we even be able to still train together? Naruto asked the silver-haired Jonin with worry in his voice. At this point Irika finally processed just who was sitting near him. Kakashi Hatake. The shinobi with over 1,000 copied jutsu. Is this the man that has been tutoring Naruto-kun in the shinobi arts? Were his thoughts before Kakashi responded to the redhead's questions. Well you see Naruto, just because you will be having another sensei doesn't mean that I can't still teach you a thing or two here and there. Once we know who your Jonin commander will be, I'll have a talk with him and arrange something out that works. I can't just let my student fall behind, now can I? Kakashi answered the boy with his patented eye smile. This is when Irika interjected himself into the conversation. Hold on a minute, are you telling me that you, copycat Kakashi, the legendary Jonin who was taught by the Yondaime Hokage, have been the one tutoring my student since before the academy? This got Naruto and Kakashi by surprise. Naruto turned around and addressed his old instructor. Sorry Irika-sensei, I should have done introductions. Kakashi-sensei, this is Irika Umino, he was my senior instructor throughout the academy. Irika-sensei, allow me to introduce Kakashi Hatake. He has been my tutor and mentor since just after I turned 6 years old. He graciously volunteered to train me in the shinobi arts after I was saved from a mob of villagers, and then expressed that I dreamed to one day be a member of the Anbu Black Ops. Irika was truly shocked that a Jonin of this caliber was the one teaching Naruto. Kakashi was a borderline S-class shinobi who was feared throughout the elemental nations. It sort of all made sense at this point. If Naruto had this man instructing him since he was 6 years old, it was no wonder the boy was so skilled in the arts. It is nice to meet you Hatake-san. I assume you are as proud of our shared student as I am with him making Rookie of the Year? Irika asked after he composed himself. No need to be so formal with me Irika-san, Kakashi will work just fine. As for Naruto here, I couldn't be prouder, he has come a long way from the little brat he started off as. Kakashi responded as he tousled Naruto's hair. Very well Kakashi-san, I am interested in finding out everything you were able to pass on to Naruto-kun here. He must have been just as good of a student for you as he was for me. He absorbed the academy curriculum like a sponge. Little did Irika know that the rest of this conversation was going to leave his jaw constantly sitting on the countertop of Ichiraku's. Break. The following Monday saw Naruto changing into a fresh uniform after showering, washing off all the grime and sweat that he had acquired from his morning workout. He put on a pair of dark brown Anbu-styled shinobi pants, and began taping his ankles up with dark green shinobi tape. He then taped his thighs up before strapping on his kunai/shuriken holster on his right leg, and his senbon holster on his left. Kakashi-sensei had just gifted him a new pair of gray ones to add more blending colors with his uniform. He proceeded to pull on a long-sleeve mesh armored shirt, and cover it with a short-sleeved dark brown shinobi shirt. He then used the same dark green shinobi tape to wrap up his hands and arms up to his elbows. Irika-sensei had gifted him with a pair of gray fingerless shinobi gloves with metal plates with the leaf symbol engraved in them. He put those on as well. He opted to wear his hataite around his neck, foregoing using it in the traditional way. He had his tanto sheath wrapped in some more of the green shinobi tape, and had used some black to wrap the handle with. He strung this piece of his gear to his lower back parallel to the ground like he had seen his sensei wear many a times. After pulling on a pair of gray shinobi sandals, Naruto checked himself in the mirror. His hair, still done up in respect to his idol the Yondaime, his blue cerulean eyes, and his 3 whisker parks per cheek. He thought he looked like a serious shinobi. He may not wear the traditional colors that most leaf shinobi did, but he felt that since they operated in the forests of the Land of Fire, mostly that dark blue wasn't the best to use. Green went with the color of the leaves, and gray could blend into rocks. It made sense to him. With being all dressed, Naruto made a quick breakfast of eggs, toast, and bacon, scarfed it down, and made his way to the Hokage tower. He had to go take his photo today and start filling out some paperwork. Break. Naruto was currently standing in front of Hiruzen, with the old man gazing upon him proudly. The wrinkled Sarutobi truly was amazed at the progress the boy had made in his shinobi training. Just the other night, he had finally asked Kakashi just exactly how skilled the boy really was. The detailed report was simply amazing. This led to him developing the team assignments a bit differently. Usually as Rookie of the Year, Naruto would get the Kunoichi of the Year and the dead last on the team with him, so it would have been the Uzumaki with Tenten and Rock Lee. Hiruzen did not think that would fit anymore though, especially with Might Guy requesting his pupil Lee to remain with him. No, the Hyuga and Tenten would go to Guy. He had just a person in mind to be Naruto's instructor, and he would find some competent students to put as Naruto's teammates. Hiruzen looked down at Naruto's ninja registration form and nodded his head in approval after spotting the professional photo. Naruto didn't even smile in it. The boy took being a shinobi too seriously sometimes. You would be proud, Minato, and you too, Kushina. He thought to himself. He finally decided to address the redhead. Well, Naruto Uzumaki, male, will be 11 years old on October 10th of this year, 5 foot 1 inches tall, blood type, B. Shinobi registration number 011607. Everything seems to be in order, Naruto-kun. Hiruzen addressed him with a smile. You are the first one done completing their paperwork after graduation from your class. You did do it much faster than usual. What do you plan to do with the rest of your time before team assignments, Naruto-kun? Naruto sheepishly rubbed the back of his head upon hearing this. Well, Hokage-ji, I was so excited that I am finally a shinobi. I just felt like I should get all of this stuff done. As for what I will do, I guess I will just continue with training for the week. I have nothing else to do anyways. At this point, they both heard the door to the side of the administration room slide open and somebody slip in. It turned out it was a little boy who was wearing some gray cap over his brown hair. He appeared to be around 6 or 7 years old. He was wearing a yellow shirt with the Leaf Village swirl on it, and green pants with a ridiculously long blue scarf around his neck. None of this was worrying, but what did catch Naruto's attention was the fact that he had a shuriken in his hand, a real one, and was sprinting towards his Hokage with the intent to attack. I have you now, old man. Now I'll have to be Hokage. The boy screamed and let the shuriken loose towards the Hokage's head. In a blur, Naruto reacted and deflected the shuriken after shining into its path. He promptly used another to appear behind the boy with his tanto pressed to his neck. This is when someone familiar to Naruto entered the room. Honorable grandson, are you in here? Upon spotting his charge being held at sword point, Ebisu-sensei had a heart attack and freaked. You! Unhand the honorable grandson at once. What? Wait, is that you, Naruto-san? Now Ebisu was just confused. Why was his old student threatening to slit his new one's throat? What is going on in here, Hokage-sama? He addressed his leader, who was just calmly smoking from his pipe at the administration desk. Hiruzen just chuckled at the scene. He knew Naruto wouldn't harm the boy until he found out what the story was, and it was amusing to see his boisterous grandson be taught a very serious lesson on why it is not smart to try and attack the leader to a village. Well, you see, Ebisu-kun, Konohamaru-kun here decided to try another assassination attempt on his poor old grandfather, and Naruto-kun here, like the responsible genin he is, protected his kage and apprehended the assassin. Let me go, you big bully. Don't you know who I am? Konohamaru was squirming and trying to get away from the red head with the long knife. Geesh, this guy is scary. Yes, I do, twerp. The Hokage just told us all, didn't he, you daft little thing? Naruto responded with a sly grin. But grandson or not, you did just try to kill the village's leader, so I believe execution is the punishment for that offense, is it not, Hokage-sama? Naruto addressed his grandfather figure with a conspiratorial grin. Hiruzen caught on to the prank and decided to play along, and really let the lesson sink in for his actual grandson. Why, yes, it is Naruto-kun. Would you do me the favor of bringing this assassin to the intelligence and interrogation department to be dealt with? At this point Ebisu knew what was happening as well, and just let the scene play out with amusement. No! Hiruzen-jiji. You wouldn't let this shinobi kill me, right? This is just a big misunderstanding. I wasn't going to hurt you. Konohamaru began freaking out. Oh, my apologies, it was just a mistake, I am sure. Naruto responded, taking his tanto away from the boy's throat. Konohamaru promptly fell to the floor crying in relief. He had seriously thought that he was going to die there. The shinobi in the room were laughing at him. They are a bunch of meanies. break. The end of the week finally came, and Naruto was listening to teams being called out. Finally, Iruka-sensei had called his own name. Team 5 will consist of Naruto Uzumaki, Iroha Raigan, and Tekuno Ic. You will be under Tokubetsu Jonin Rado Namishi. Naruto nodded his head at this. At least he wouldn't have to deal with the stupid Hyuga. Iroha was a back-haired boy from a civilian family that was the same height as Naruto. He had black eyes and wore black cargo shorts and a blue leaf t-shirt. As far as Naruto was aware, the boy came from a civilian family and he was first generation. Tekuno was from a shinobi family, having a few cousins and uncles in the force. He had brown hair and eyes and wore a dull yellow shirt with black shinobi pants. They both scored in the middle of the upper third of the class, so Naruto guessed that he could have done much worse in ways of teammates. While Naruto was pondering his team assignment, Iruka had finished by assigning Team 9 as Rock Lee, Neji Hyuga, and Tenten under Might Guy. He was happy for Lee. He got to stay with his original sensei. Iruka addressed the class again after that. Okay, all of you, congratulations once again on graduating. I wish you luck in your shinobi careers, and I am proud to have taught you all. You all have a 1-hour break before you need to report back here for your senseis to come and retrieve you. Dismissed. After that, the genin began grouping up with their teammates to go out to lunch. When Iroha and Tekuno made their way up to him, Naruto just gave them a nod each in greeting. He hadn't really interacted with many of the other students in his class. Tekuno was the more outspoken out of the three, so he decided to spark some conversation. So Uzumaki, how does it feel being the Rookie of the Year? You did after all get there after being the youngest in the class. Iroha shipped in after that. Yeah, and what is up with that feud you have with the Hyuga prick? Naruto just sighed at the questions. He shouldn't be too surprised that they might want to get to know him now that they were a team. Well, as for being the rookie, I am proud, I guess. I worked extremely hard to get good at what we do. I guess having connections in the Hokage's office helps though. I've had a Jonin tutor since I was 6. That was why I always seemed so far ahead, I think. As for the Hyuga, the bastard can't get over the fact that someone who doesn't focus purely on Taijutsu can be better than his pitiful clan. It's not my fault he doesn't focus on any other art but Tai. He responded. Both of his new teammates had surprised looks on their faces. You had a Jonin sensei this entire time. Dude, you are so lucky! Iroha exclaimed. Tekuno nodded to that. Yeah, that is lucky of you. No wonder you steamrolled the rest of us in the academy. He added with a chuckle. Well, at least we are sure one of the three of us is strong. Was it Rado-sensei who taught you Naruto? Naruto just shook his head to this. No, Rado-sensei and I have only run into each other a couple of times when I was visiting Hokage at the tower. I haven't been his student before today. Tokubetsu Jonin don't normally teach genin until they are close to promotion to full Jonin last I checked though, so he is probably due for one soon considering the Hokage assigned us to him. Well, I hope he ends up being a good sensei. Do you guys want to go grab some takeout barbecue really quick and come back before sensei gets here? We have about 50 minutes left, and there is a good place right down the street that I know. Iroha offered to the other two. Both teammates nodded in the affirmative, and the trio made their way out of the academy. During lunch the three kept asking random questions to try and get to know the others. So far, none of the genin had an issue with the others and thought they might be able to get along well enough during missions. Naruto warned them of the horror of D-ranked missions, but they all brushed it off saying that they would just train to get to doing C ranks. After returning to the academy and quickly eating their lunches, the three genin awaited their new sensei. On the very moment of the hour being up, a brown-haired man wearing a Jonin jacket and had a wheel-like scar on the left side of his face entered the classroom. The man soon announced his purpose. Will Team 5 please follow me outside? He stated before turning back out of the room. Team 5 made their way out following their supposed sensei. They continued to follow him, and he led them to the outskirts of the village. He entered a training field with a sign for 5 on it, and proceeded to a rock formation, and sat himself in the middle of a rather large one. The genin F the group copied him and formed a semicircle around the older nin. Okay, you three, congratulations on passing the academy tests, but that was not your genin test. Your Jonin instructors are the ones who must decide whether or not you will study under them, go into the regular shinobi corps, go back to the academy for remediation, or drop out of the shinobi program altogether. This shocked Iroha and Tekuno. Naruto had already been warned by Kakashi. Rado took notice of this. Kakashi had already made a deal with Rado, informing him that there was no way he would fail Team 5, solely for the reason of Naruto being on it. Apparently, the kid had far too much talent. Rado, being a soon full Jonin, and having never taken a team before, had asked for advice from Kakashi. Rado was just going to test the team's willingness to work together, and if they could, they passed. I just thought before we got to the details of that test, we would introduce ourselves and tell each other our likes, hobbies, and dreams for the future. I would like to get an idea of who I am dealing with before I pass judgment. I will go first so that you see what I mean. My name is Rado Namishi. I am getting promoted to a full Jonin on Monday whether I take you 3 on as students or not. I am 30 years old. I like Genjutsu and my sword Kakuto. I dislike fools and people who do not take being shinobi seriously. My dreams for the future are to maybe start a family one day once I feel like settling down. Now you Uzumaki, you next. Rado said to the children. Naruto responded quickly enough without skipping a beat. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I will be 11 years old come October 10th. I like Iruka, Kakashi sensei, and Hokage Gigi. I also enjoy ninjutsu and genjutsu. I also dislike fools who don't take being a shinobi seriously. I don't like those who cannot look underneath the underneath, and those who judge a book by their cover. My dreams for the future are to gain Chunin rank at the first possible opportunity, and enter Hokage Gigi's Anbu Black Ops and defend this village. Was his passionate monologue. Rado had expected this after speaking with Kakashi and the Hokage. The kid was dedicated to the village and being a shinobi. Just by the clothing he wore, Rado respected the kid. All shinobi clothing, some armor, no bright colors. This one might not be so bad. Okay, thank you for sharing Naruto, that is a good goal to have. If you pass under me, I will do what I can to get you there, said Rado. Internally, I mean, just with who your father and mother are, of course I'll probably end up passing you. He thought with a frown. Okay, Iroha, you next please. Hi sensei. My name as you know, is Iroha Raigon. I am 12 years old and I like my family and would like to learn Genjutsu. I dislike fangirls, as well as those who look down on clan-less shinobi. My goals for the future are to one day become a Jonin and have a team of my own. Was Iroha's response. Good, those are also good goals, Iroha. If you pass, I may just pass on my Genjutsu style to you, Rado told the kid with a small smile, earning himself a very enthusiastic one in return. Now Takuno, what about you? My name is Takuno Ic. I am also 12 years old. I like my little cousin Udon, who will be starting the academy at the start of the new year. I do not like cats. My goals for the future are to learn my elemental affinity and become a ninjutsu specialist, said Takuno. Very good, now that we all know a little about each other, we can start this test. Allow me to lay down the ground rules. You 3 will have to come at me with everything you got. If you do not impress me with your skills, then I will ship you back to the academy, Rado told them as he pulled out a timer and set it. You have until the timer runs out, which is set for 30 minutes. You may begin now. And with that, Team 5's trial by fire began. You may begin now, Rado shouted to the genin hopefuls. Immediately Takuno launched himself across the rock towards his possible sensei with a right haymaker prepped and ready. Rado merely sidestepped to his left and chopped the genin in the back of the neck, dropping him like a sack of potatoes. Iroha could be seen nervously looking back and forth from his teammate's down body and meeting his sensei's eyes. Takuno should have known better. This is a Jonin, he thought to himself. He looked over to his other teammate. The redhead was already in a fighting stance and had a calculating look in his eyes as he circled his way around Rado. Once Naruto seemed to be out of the Jonin's field of vision, the boy nodded to Iroha, and he could do nothing except assume that Naruto wanted him to act when he himself did. Iroha nodded in return, and the 2 genins simultaneously launched shuriken at the older man. The body of Rado, now turned into a metaphorical pincushion, evaporated into smoke and a log stood in its place. Naruto took this time to retrieve their downed teammate and signaled for Iroha to follow him to the tree line. Once properly camouflaged, Naruto slapped Takuno awake. The boy startled out of his forced slumber. "What-ow," he said, rubbing the back of his neck. "That smarts a bit, what the hell happened?" he asked the other 2 boys as he realized they were there. "Rado-sensei chopped you in the back of the neck, and dropped you like a bad habit. You should be more careful than that, Takuno. The man is a Jonin, and we are shinobi. Why would you attack head-on?" asked Iroha. Naruto nodded in agreement. "He is right. If we want to pass this last little examination, we have to take this seriously. Rado will be too difficult for us to beat without coordinating with each other." "What jutsu do you guys know, and what do you have for weapons?" asked the redhead, trying to formulate a plan in his mind already. "Well, I just know the Academy 3 honestly. I mean, I have a couple of shinobi in my family, but none of them ever taught me anything extra." was Takuno's response. What about you, Iroha? Well, I am in the same boat really. I'm first generation. I only know what was taught to us in the academy right now. More jutsu aren't available from the shinobi library until we are officially genin after all. Iroha said while looking down on the ground. I don't have any formal Genjutsu training or a blade, my parents couldn't afford it. I planned on buying one after a few missions. This didn't surprise Naruto. Well, they are basic genin, they didn't have the extra training. In terms of experience we are technically all green regardless. I just trained a lot. Okay, that is fine, we may have to just stage traps and the whatnot. I can be our frontline fighter. I know a few Fire Jutsu so I might be able to put him on his toes so that you guys can catch him off guard with throwing weapons or something. If you see an opening, take it. He explained to them. Neither of the other two really liked the fact that it sounded like the younger boy would end up having to pull more weight in this than them. They could at least acknowledge that he was right though. This didn't eliminate either of their sense of failure though. I have to get better after this exam. No more waiting, I need to get a sword. If we pass this, I need to start jutsu training. These were the thoughts of Iroha and Takuno respectively. I don't really like that you'll be the only one in the line of fire for a bit, but I can put up with it if we end up passing. Was Iroha's opinion on the matter. I'm not fond of it either, but once we nail this exam, I am so catching up to you in jutsu training. Was what came from Takuno. Alright, we should figure out a game plan then, said Naruto. Break. Rato had taken to hiding in the upper trees and was currently watching his 3 charges. He was suppressing his chakra so they could not sense him. Takuno seems to have been a little too excited. The other two were capable of working in tandem to get him out of a bad situation at least. He mused to himself. Rato was just like Kakashi when it came to the belief that teamwork was essential for genin. If they could work as an actual unit to try and put him on the ropes, then he would absolutely pass them. They seem to have finished their little scheming. Let's try and interrupt that now. Rato thought as a small grin came to his face. Hey, who knew that messing with genin could be so much fun? He quickly shunshined into the area that his 3 hopefuls were gathered in. You 3 wouldn't be up to something suspicious now, would you? He asked. Iroha and Takuno gave the reactions that he was trying to get out of them, but Naruto made him frown. He had just glanced in his direction with no apparent change in his eyes or facial expression. Dear God, Kakashi, what did you put this boy through? Rato thought, slightly alarmed. Break. As soon as Rato-sensei appeared next to them suddenly, they all faced him. Iroha and Takuno were a little unnerved that he seemed to have appeared out of nowhere, but Naruto seemed to be calm. This reassured the other two a little bit. Naruto then addressed them. You 2 fall back, I'll cover your retreat. He got a couple of quick nods in response, and the other 2 genin flew from the mini-clearing. Naruto just assumed a fighting stance and got ready to react to anything Rato might do. This seemed to amuse the older man a bit. The Jonin then assumed a stance as well and gave the come-hither gesture to Naruto. Taijutsu it is, I guess. Naruto took in a deep breath, and then in a burst of speed that surprised the Jonin, began a furious assault. Once he was close enough, he opened with a left jab that was a feint for a grab to Rato's sleeve. The more experienced of the 2 caught this and deflected the hand. This caused Naruto to spin a bit from being off balance, but he used it to his advantage and turned it into a spinning elbow. Rato hollowed out of the way of that, and he then threw a front ball kick at the boy. The kick connected and pushed Naruto back a distance. Naruto landed and maintained his ready stance and Jonin and genin stared off at each other. Rato was merely playing the defensive side, these were genin after all. Well, the kid can certainly use the Anbu style, I'll give him that. He almost got me with that elbow, he thought amusedly to himself. Moments later Naruto seemed to have decided that their little spar was over and booked it out of the area heading towards where his teammates originally fled to. Well, let's see what kind of plan they have for me now. Break. Takuno and Iroha were earnestly trying to finish the last trap they had planned out before Naruto landed next to them from the trees above. They were holed up setting a deer trail with a kunai trap that they knew their joint tester would not fall for. It all seemed rather hopeless in their own opinions. Takuno voiced his frustrations to the last addition to the team after he arrived. This is a Jonin Naruto, do you really expect this to work on one of the village's elite shinobi? He asked the redhead, a grimace clearly settled upon his face. Iroha and Naruto just frowned in response, Iroha, thinking deeply, and Naruto not liking this give it up, all is hopeless attitude of his teammate. The point is to show that we can work as a unit, and that we can at least show off genin level skills, I think. We just need to impress him enough to make him deem us worthy of being genin. We can do that through teamwork, and showing off what skills we do know. Naruto told his brown-haired teammate. I mean, he definitely doesn't expect us to win Takuno. Like you just said, he is a Jonin after all. We should just show him what we got and throw everything we have at him and hope for the best," added Iroha. "Now let's clear out. This was the last trap and we should set the bait. Tekuno, you're up." At this the three genin moved into position awaiting their sensei. Tekuno backtracked through the trail of traps they had set and started to run the gauntlet. The plan was that he was the bait, and his sensei should follow him, or at least spot the traps and take note of them. The true trap was the other two genin. They were in position for a pincer attack towards the end of the trail that ended off at a very small clearing. Break. Rado was amused, and a little bit impressed. They can certainly work as a team all right, but making them sweat it out is proving to be fun. I'll humor their little plan and see just what they cooked up and if they have any decent surprises. With that, spotting Tekuno in his pale yellow shirt running through the trail, he began to follow on foot, scaring the poor genin out of his wits, making him run faster. Rado decided to circumvent all their traps and not trigger them at all as he passed them. Should get them to sweat some more. Rado internally grinned. This served to instill more fear in Tekuno, as Rado could see whenever the boy looked back to see if he had gotten snared in any of them. Rado truly was amused that the boy hoped his academy traps would trick a Jonin. They were finally nearing the area that Rado already knew his other two students were staged. He could sense them already. Iroha, the black-haired boy, was standing behind a large tree, hidden from view, and the red head of the team was hidden up in a tree on the other side of the trail's canopy. Once he and Tekuno passed in between the two, an unexpected number of kunai rained down on him from the canopy that Naruto was in. He had to use a kawarimi to get out of there. Does he know how to replicate his kunai? That is an A-ranked offensive technique. Damn it, Kakashi, you didn't tell me about that one. That attack had truly caught him off guard a little bit. He had substituted into another clearing and was observing the three now that they had sprung their ambush on him. He could spot all three, but then was confused as to why he heard a kunai whistling towards him from behind. He dodged but heard the hissing of an explosive tag. After another kawarimi, and a tree getting blown to bits along with a replacement log, Rado was a little off balance. What in the hell? Iroha had appeared next to him, and tried to stab him with another kunai. When he went to bat the genin away, his hand phased right through Bunshin, and immediately he was set upon by all three genin surrounding him and bum-rushing him. Naruto took the lead and slid into his guard to try and hit his sternum with a leopard's paw. He weaved out of the way while he redirected Tekuno's attempt at a round kick towards his torso. Iroha tried to use that as another chance to stab him in the back, but he kicked the genin's hand away from him. So, they are taking this seriously then. Good, were Rado's thoughts before he kicked it up a notch and jumped into the air and split-kicked Iroha and Tekuno away from him when they tried to sandwich him. Iroha flew through some bushes and Tekuno smacked into a tree on the opposite side. Break. Naruto didn't like that his new teammates just got the proverbial stars kicked into them. He was glad to see them both nod towards him and make their way out of the clearing properly to get into another good position. This meant that now it was Naruto's turn to be the distraction again. Let's bring up the heat then, Naruto thought with a smirk. Locking onto Rado, who was just watching him, he started going through rapid hand signs. Tiger, ram, monkey, boar, horse, tiger. Great fireball no jutsu, and he launched the large ball of fire towards the Jonin. He couldn't see the Jonin's eyebrows raise in response, but Rado went through a series of hand seals of his own and made a wall of earth raise from the ground to defend him from the heat. Naruto had already expected something like this, and used a burst of speed to move to the flank and toss some shuriken towards the older man. He used ninja wire to wrap his target, and proceeded to prepare another jutsu on the surprised shinobi. Snake, dragon, rabbit, tiger. Dragon fire no jutsu, and Naruto sent a stream of fire down the wires towards Rado. He noticed the Jonin use kawarimi again without seals and got on edge looking for the man. Break. Okay, that was unexpected. If I had been a genin or a fresh chunin, he would have just fried my ass, thought Rado. Break. Did you know that Naruto could do that? Tekuno asked Iroha in disbelief. The black-haired boy just numbly shook his head. No, I didn't. We should get into position though. We only have 5 or so minutes on this test left. The two then moved further down the tree line and prepared for the finale. Break. Rado appeared back into the clearing with Naruto. That was impressive, Naruto. You do know that knowing elemental techniques isn't the standard for being a genin though, correct? Rado asked the redhead, feigning ignorance about the boy's training with Kakashi. Meh, so I like to overachieve, so what? Now let's get back to it. Naruto responded and followed by charging his sensei even faster than before. He got faster suddenly. Rado thought as he began blocking Naruto's flurry of kicks and punches. The man kept getting pushed back as he allowed the genin to press the attack. These kids certainly do impress. Their ambush from earlier would have worked on a weaker opponent, and Naruto used himself as the juggernaut to allow his teammates a clean escape. I just want to see a little bit more. We have a couple of minutes left. As the pair kept moving, Rado's senses informed him that he was about to die. He realized why when Naruto turned into a log. Kawarimi! And the next thing he knew, he was in between a crossfire of thrown shuriken. Break! All the shuriken did not hit their intended target. Rado-sensei had somehow disappeared into the dirt. This put the genin on edge until behind them they heard clapping. This caused all of them to whip around with weapons drawn. It was Rado, and he had a small smile on his face. Congratulations, you three, our 30 minutes are over, and I can say I am impressed. Starting tomorrow, Team 5 will meet in our training grounds for morning training, and then we will do a mission or two. This announcement got all three genin smiling as well. Tekuno jumped in the air a little bit, and pumping his fist into the air. Iroha shook his head at his more excitable teammates' actions, and just let out a sigh of relief that he didn't know he was holding. Naruto proceeded to sheath his tanto that he drew when Rado snuck up on them. He could now relax a little bit, and not be so on guard. They had passed, and he was one step closer to his goals now. Noticing the reactions of the three, Rado decided some more time as a team would be a good idea before they started training tomorrow. So, you three, to celebrate your official graduation, what say we head out and get something to eat, on me of course? He asked them. Getting affirmatives from all three, he proceeded. Okay, I know a pretty good dango shop, and it's shinobi-owned, so we get a pretty good discount. Let's go. Team 5 then made their way back towards the village with Tekuno chatting happily to their sensei, asking about the jutsu that he and Naruto had used, and Iroha was asking when he would be allowed to start training in Genjutsu. Naruto just walked quietly with a small smile on his face, thinking things weren't so bad with his team. Break. At the dango shop, their order had just been brought over. It was a large plate of numerous dango for them all to share while they talked. Rado had also gotten a bottle of sake and enough cups to give one drink to each of his students. Okay kids, you are officially shinobi, and therefore the drinking age does not apply to you. I don't want you making this a common occurrence. You are still young, but I feel you have earned this little lapse in judgment with your performance earlier, he told the three as he poured for glasses, one in front of each of them. Now a toast to Team 5. All four clinked their glasses and uttered a short round of cheers. The alcohol seemed to make Tekuno a little green, and Iroha looked a bit out of breath from the burning feeling. Naruto just didn't like the taste but was more than okay with trying the coveted drink. After the toast, the four began eating away at their dango, and talking about the schedule for the team from here on out. So Rado-sensei, what are we going to start training on first, and what kind of missions will we be doing? Tekuno asked eagerly. Rado finished the dumpling that he was currently chewing before responding. Well Tekuno, I guess we will start by meeting at our training ground every day at 5 a.m. You guys are fresh genin, and I must run you guys into the ground for a bit. We will do warm-ups depending on where you are all at physically. Then after those we will do teamwork drills and teach you guys how to effectively use the formations you learned in the academy. Then we will train some chakra control for a little bit, and after that take a couple of missions for the day to help build up your portfolios. After missions, I guess we can work on individual training for a little bit, and then call it a day around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. This didn't bother Naruto too much, he already trained at that time, now it just wouldn't be with Kakashi. After the meeting, he would explain how his own training schedule worked to his sensei and try to find out when he would be able to train with Kakashi-sensei. When we do the individual training, will that be when you start teaching me Genjutsu, Rado-sensei? Iroha asked hopefully. He was a first-generation shinobi and therefore couldn't get assistance from his parents. Yes, Iroha, that is when we will work on whatever it is that you guys may want to learn. This may be your Taijutsu, Genjutsu for you, or learning new ninjutsu. It depends on you guys. You can also always ask for training later into the night, or train on your own. I just ask that you don't overdo it. I plan to do at least 2 missions a day with you guys. We will do that for 3 weeks, and then take a week off from missions where I basically just put you guys through a week-long ringer, and we start over from there. That last part caused Tekuno and Iroha to forcibly gulp, but Naruto just smiled. He absolutely loved challenging training. I actually like the sound of that schedule. 1 week a month for intense training sounds perfect to me. The four just continued eating and speaking of random things as the questions came to their minds. Break. The next day saw Team 5 up bright and early, training their hides off. For Naruto, this was nothing new to him. He just went off and did his own warm-ups with Rado-sensei's permission. He was currently doing cool-down stretches as he watched his teammates finish up their workout. They looked exhausted, to put it simply. Takuno was bent over at the knees, sucking wind. Why is it that you look like you were doing a harder exercise yet you finished before we did, and you are barely sweating? Iroha just nodded while clutching a stitch in his back that was cramping up. Well, I've been working out like this with weights on for years. I guess it might be time to up them again though. Naruto answered and mused out loud. The part about weights caught Iroha's attention though. He was usually more perceptive than Takuno. What do you mean weights, Naruto? He asked. Oh? I wear chakra weights to supplement my training. They help to quickly increase strength and speed in a shinobi, was his reply. Oh, so that was why you were moving so fast yesterday. You took your weights off so you could keep up with Reito-sensei. Makes sense now, Takuno said with a sagely nod to himself. Actually, Takuno, I never took my weights off. I left them at the same 110 pounds per limb that I usually do. The other two genin just stared at him for several uncomfortable moments before. You can move that fast with your weights on, was Takuno. You have 110 pounds on each limb? That is 440 pounds, Naruto, was Iroha. Off to the side, Reito had his eyebrows raised. That was a staggering weight to be using for training for a genin who was only 11 years old. It must be because of the Kyuubi then, he thought to himself. That, or it's the part about him being an Uzumaki. He remembered from his time as Minato's bodyguard. He was one of the few who knew about him and Kushina having a child together. Naruto, surprised from the outbursts of his teammates, finally responded to them. Well, yes, I have been using them non-stop for years now, and Kakashi-sensei and Hokage say I have a very fast healing factor compared to most shinobi. They say it has to do with my large chakra reserves. Don't you guys use weights? He asked with a little bit of confusion. He had thought they were commonplace for shinobi. Reito was the one to answer that. Well, Naruto, our teammates are only just getting to the age where for them, using weights would be considered safe. I knew about you using them, but I didn't know how heavy yours were set to. I was going to get Takuno and Iroha a pair after the first month of being a team and our first 1-week training excursion. I wanted them to get used to the workouts I set up for them before having them add some weight. This got a surprised look from all the genin. What? I plan to run you guys through the ringer, Takuno, Iroha. You two will especially have to train hard if you want to catch up to your teammate. I don't want to hear anything about him having a head start either. You guys will need to train to get up to an acceptable level, and I want to be doing C-ranked missions by 3 months from now. D-ranks are just plain painful, Reito told his students with a smirk. This got a groan from Naruto, him already knowing exactly what a D-rank mission entailed, and a confused look from the other two. They had absolutely no idea how the mission structure worked now, but no worries, they would learn soon enough. Break, time skip 3 weeks. Today was the day that Team 5 started their 1-week training camp for their first month as a team. Reito-sensei had kept his promise, he would work them into the ground, and they would do a minimum of 2 D-ranks a day after morning training. Over the past 3 weeks, they had completed 38 missions, 38. The worst part was, that because of how fast Naruto was, they got the Capture Tora mission for 13 of those. The damn wife of the Fire Lord's cat always ran away from the plump woman who tried to suffocate it with love. Takuno and Iroha had been whipped into shape by Reito over these 3 weeks. They now could do the same workouts as Naruto but with only 100 of the repetitions compared to Naruto's thousands, when he got used to his weight level. Reito had also started showing the basics of Genjutsu to Iroha, having him practice with a wooden katana, and starting the team off on tree climbing. Since Naruto could already do this, and water walking, he had him try levitating a kunai above his hand with the blade facing up. If he could do this one without the blade falling or tipping over, he would have mastered the next step of chakra control known to the Leaf Village. Iroha and Takuno could each walk up the trees several times now that they had gotten that down, and were still practicing, both for their control, and to increase their chakra reserves. Takuno wouldn't start on any form of elemental training until he got his chakra control and reserves to a good enough level. The team drills worked out well for the three. So far, they could work well together, and never tripped each other up when trying some of the more complex attack patterns on their sensei. Reito had told them that they, and Team 9 were the only 2 teams to be passed by their Jonin. They took pride in this. They also on principle tried to stay ahead of the other team on number of missions completed just because of Naruto's feud with the Hyuga on that team. They were worried that they might catch up over the course of the next week. Might Guy wasn't really worried about D-rank missions though, and only completed the 6 or 7 a week so that his students would have a solid paycheck every week. The rest of the time was team training or showing his apprentice Lee some more of the strong fist taijutsu style. So, Team 5 were being driven into the ground on all aspects by Reito. Naruto had been told to increase his training weights to 120 pounds for this week-long training they would be doing. They were going to be camping at Training Ground 5 instead of going home every night. This was so they could maximize the time spent working on something and not having to worry about going home. Rato's theory on this was also to train them on keeping a watch shift over camp to prepare them for missions outside of the village, and to get them used to field life. Rato, ever the practical shinobi, refused to let his team outside of the village walls without properly ensuring that they were as trained as he could get them to be. This week, if they thought they had tough training before, they were in for a real surprise. Break. Okay, you three, now that camp is set up, you know the drill, get to your warm-ups. Rato commanded his students. But first, Iroha Tekuno, come here, I have something for you. He proceeded to hand each of the two a package. When they opened them, they revealed a set of black chakra weights each. I decided this would be the perfect time to get you guys started on using these. On their basic level without pumping chakra into them, they weigh 5 pounds per limb. I want you to start off with that and try to complete your exercises as normal. Naruto, you already increased your weights, so you are fine. Iroha and Tekuno put the weights on and tested their legs and arms, trying to get used to the weights. Let's go, get to it you three. Rato reprimanded. The three genin immediately shot off to start their laps around the grounds. Man, I love messing with rookies sometimes. Who knew teaching could be so much fun? He asked himself, remembering that time that Tekuno had fallen from the tree and whacked his head on the ground during the tree climbing training. Once the three were done with their exercises, he gave them a few minutes break before calling them over. Okay, now, we will spend the next hour going over your formations and ensuring even when this fatigued, you can keep them up. I want to see a hustle out there. And the team was off practicing the scenarios of search and rescue, capture, attack, defend, and assassinate formations. Once this hour was up also, he got them going on tree walking, trying to get them used to doing it with the added weight. Naruto didn't have too much trouble, being used to learning the chakra exercises numerous times with up chakra weights. It took the other two only 15 minutes to get comfortable with the tweaked training. After that, he brought them through the woods to a small pond so that he could teach water walking. For this one, he had Naruto try to do the kunai balancing exercise at the same time since he did it fast enough and enjoyed watching his other toe students try and fail to get the water walking down. Watching them get soaked while Naruto just walks around the pond trying to get the kunai to balance sure is funny. Rato thought to himself watching each genin struggle. Rato took this time to really think about each of his charges. Tekuno, he doesn't wear the brightest of yellow, and at least he wears black Anbu style pants and the standard blue shinobi sandals, but still, he could wear something a little better. I can fix that issue before we ever leave the village though. No need to be too serious with us doing missions only inside the village right now. The kid is a little goofy at times, and he doesn't think things through as often as his two teammates. Still has a good head on his shoulders and works hard to keep up with his teammates. Good luck keeping up with Naruto though, that kid is something else. Still, Tekuno has been trying hard to get his chakra levels and control up to par so that he can start learning elemental jutsu. I wouldn't usually teach him that until he was a bit older and more experienced, but a few months from now, with Naruto already knowing fire, I might throw him the basics. I wonder what his element will end up being, were his thoughts on his brown-haired student. He glanced over at Iroha. For a student that has no shinobi in his family at all, he does well and picks things up quickly enough. He has taken to Genjutsu easily as well. A few more weeks working with a training sword and I might bring him to get a real one commissioned. He is a bit of a bookish one. I've caught him at the library a few times looking for styles to learn from some scrolls. I will probably end up teaching him my own style so he can truly learn one. Scrolls only do so much. The kid is definitely determined to make something out of himself, and to go far despite being at a disadvantage compared to some of his peers. Rato knew that coming from a non-shinobi background made becoming a good one difficult. You were looked down on a bit if you weren't part of a clan, or if your family hadn't set a standard for your line yet. He finally looked over at his red-haired student. Naruto is even more advanced than I had expected him to be. I've seen him practice all his fire ninjutsu at this point. The fact that Kakashi was able to teach that much to someone so young is ridiculous. The supplemental jutsu the kid knew would come in handy for him down the road as well. The fact that a tailed beast container can utilize Genjutsu at the level that he can was what truly blew him away. Jinchuriki were chakra monsters. Everyone expected them to be ninjutsu gods and juggernauts at Taijutsu because of their inhuman strength. Naruto's early training in chakra control really left him with an advantage on other Jinchuriki if the leaf ever needed him to go toe-to-toe with another one. The fact that he doesn't know about the Kyuubi yet is a bit troubling though. Hokage-sama should tell him soon enough though. Rato knew that the boy still hung out with Kakashi and the Sandaime whenever he got the chance to. Kakashi still trained the kid at night if he wasn't on a mission as well. He is closest to those two. It should be them who tells him about his burden. They turned this kid into a true shinobi though. He takes everything seriously and he rarely takes the time to be a kid with his teammates. He will go far in Anbu once he makes Jonin, that is for sure. Next month's week-long training, I might get him started on that water element Kakashi said he has. He could use some defensive jutsu with all that offense he's got. Break. The week of training was up and Team 5 was back to their regular 3-week schedule. They had been cut out by Reito-sensei not too long ago, and Naruto was making his way over to Training Ground 7 to get some time in with Kakashi. Sick of walking, he just shined his way into the clearing. He found Kakashi leaning against a training log reading an orange book, and the older man would giggle every now and again. As Naruto got closer, he read the title as Aika Aika. Wonder what that is about, he thought. Kakashi snapped the book shut once Naruto was a few feet away and I smiled at his surrogate little brother. How was the week of training with Reito and your team, Naruto? The elder of the two asked. This brought a small smile to Naruto's face. It was pretty good, Kakashi-sensei. Iroha and Takuno were set to learn the water walking exercise with some new training weights they got, and watching them try to learn and sink to the bottom of the pond randomly was really funny. This got a chuckle out of Kakashi. Oh, I know the feeling from when you were trying to learn. Now you aren't so mad about me laughing at you now, are you? Nah, it was pretty funny being on the other side of it after all. Reito-sensei showed me the next chakra control exercise though. It's the one where you have to balance and levitate a kunai at the same time. Oh good, now I don't have to show you that. I was thinking from now on I'll let Reito teach you most of your new skills and I can just be your friendly sparring partner so that you can try them on an advanced opponent. I'll still try to teach you Anbu tactics and the whatnot though, replied Kakashi. That sounds fair enough. Reito-sensei talked to me about soon starting my training on my water element. He says he would like to start me on the second phase of the fire elemental chakra training, but he feels I should add the possible defensive jutsu of water into my mix first before I attempt that at all. Well, he does have a point actually. I just wanted you to get as dangerous with one element as possible before you tried another. I think you are well-rounded enough to sacrifice some of your time from fire to water though. Well, enough of that, how about a quick spar, jutsu and weapons allowed, offered Kakashi with a nice smile. That sounds fun to me, was Naruto's response. Break. Another few weeks later brought us to Team 5 once again doing one of their mini boot camps. Currently Iroha and Takuno were sparring on top of the pond that Reito-sensei had them use. Those two could keep a good spar up for nearly 20 minutes now with their weights set to 10 pounds each now. Naruto had been trying to get the first phase of water manipulation down. It was in theory simple enough, and like his fire elemental training. The difference in this case is that instead of lighting the leaf on fire, he now had to get it soaking wet, the opposite of his stronger element. The point was to just saturate the leaf in water molecules that the user pulls from the air using their chakra to manipulate the element rather than using their chakra to produce extreme heat. So far, he wasn't having much luck at all. Okay, you three, gather round over here, came the shout from Reito-sensei. The three genin all stopped what they were doing and made their way over to the Jonin. Once they were all seated, Reito began speaking. Okay, you three, so far I am proud of how all far of you have gotten since your graduation. We currently hold the record for most D-rank missions done for a rookie team, and we are at the end of our second month together. Iroha, Takuno, you both have gotten far in terms of your chakra capacities and your control. Takuno, I'll start you on the first part of chakra manipulation once we finish our little chat here. Iroha, I want you to do the same so that we know what your element is. I figure we can work on it outside of your Genjutsu training. When we get back to the village, I'll take you to a smith to commission a sword, so you have a real one by the time we start our next week-long camp, he told the group. Iroha and Takuno both preened at the praise and got excited about the chance to learn something new. Naruto, you are already working on water chakra manipulation and that will be one of your main focuses until you get it down to a level where I will show you a D-rank water technique. Just do me a favor and don't let any of your other skills degrade just for the chance to get this knocked out. He addressed the redhead of the group who just nodded in response. Let's get to it, and then hopefully at the end of next week's training camp, they'll be able to deem you guys ready enough to go on a C-ranked mission. And with that his students each got up and continued to their individual training. Now the trio of genin were on their way towards a real mission. Reito proceeded to grab a small bundle of cut-up papers, kept together with a small elastic band. After separating them, he passed one to each of his two students who did not know their affinities yet. This should be interesting regardless. We are closing in on 3 months, and this team outstrips what my own team was capable of after graduating, were his thoughts as the two genin eagerly took the sheets. His other genin, and the most skilled of the three just watched with a small smile on his face, curious to see what his friends would be aligned to. Okay, you two, we will do this one at a time, starting with Takuno. He is the one that wants to be a ninjutsu specialist after all. To find out your affinity, all you must do is redirect a minuscule amount of your chakra into the chakra paper you are holding. The reactions to your elements will show as the paper getting soggy for water, burning to ash for fire, crumbling to dust for earth, crinkling in on itself for lightning, and cutting itself apart for wind. Try it out, Takuno. The Jonin instructed the preteens. Takuno immediately assumed a focused look upon his face as he held the chakra paper in between his pointer finger and thumb. After a few seconds the paper started to crumble away. Oh sweet! I have an element that isn't the same as Naruto. I get to contribute something unique in terms of ninjutsu now, and this will open all sorts of possibilities for us. I hope Iroha doesn't have the earth as well. Talk about redundancy on the team. Were the brunette's inner thoughts. Well, it isn't the flashiest of the elements, but it is definitely a good one to have if nobody on your team has it either. I don't count, I am a Jonin, so I know a little bit about a few elements. I can definitely help with earth manipulation though. Was Rado's assessment of this new development. Okay, so these three currently have fire, water, and earth between them all. Now if Iroha has either wind, as much of a stretch as that is, or lightning, still a stretch but more likely, then these guys will cover almost the entire spectrum. Okay Iroha, let's see what you have then. He commanded his last genin. Said genin held the sheet of paper the same way he saw his teammate do and was met with a paper that immediately crinkled into a rigid ball. Lightning, that or wind would have been the best for me. Talk about pure luck. The usually more serious of the older teammates thought to himself. Rado just developed a small smirk on his face that was ironically matched on all his students' faces. They also somehow thought but did not voice the same thing. That's 4 out of the 5. Well Iroha, I know of one Jonin who is extremely proficient in lightning manipulation and transformation, and he just so happens to be Naruto's tutor. I am sure your teammate would be more than happy to introduce the two of you. I can help Takuno more, as earth was the second affinity that I forced myself to learn. Water was the third and is the one I am not the best at, but I can definitely get you through the first stage for water Naruto, and since fire is my own natural element, I can help you master that one later. Rado informed his team. Takuno was excited that his sensei would be able to help him get stronger, and Naruto was glad that their commander had the knowledge necessary to help him through his second affinity. Iroha was a little downcast that Rado-sensei wouldn't be the one to help him with his element. But I guess since he is teaching me Genjutsu, it more than makes up for it. Rado-sensei is one of the few in the village that are skilled with bladed weapons. Iroha reminded himself and perked back up a little bit. Well, on to the teaching part. Naruto, just get back to what you were doing for your water element. It is going to take you a bit to get since it is the opposite of your fire, and you have a weaker attunement to it. Rado instructed the redhead. Hi sensei. Was Naruto's response before he did a short shunshin back over to the pond. This caused Rado to sweat drop a little bit. That kid likes that jutsu too much. Iroha, for the time being while I get Takuno started, work on your forms for your katana training. After the end of this week, we will go and get you a blade commissioned and hopefully it is ready by the time we return to the village after our C-ranked mission, he said after turning towards the black-haired of the three. Iroha just smiled and gave a slight bow as he went to retrieve his wooden practice blade. Okay Takuno, come with me, we are going to get you going on the first part of Earth Chakra manipulation, he said to his last student and began walking a little bit away from the other two until him and Takuno were in a tiny spot clear of trees and rocks alike. So here is the deal. The first part of Earth Chakra training is to manipulate it, just as Naruto is for water. Naruto must learn to pull water from the air, as that is less chakra draining than trying to create it from scratch within himself. That problem can't be addressed for his fire element unless he happened to be around a blazing forest, or a campfire, so he had to learn to create the flames on his own for the first step to that. For you, the point will be to harness the dirt around you and manipulate it into a variety of shapes. The best part about the start of Earth training is that to get better with this aspect, you just need to get creative with what you try and mold the earth into. Are you understanding so far, Takuno? Rado lectured. The brown-haired boy nodded enthusiastically and responded quickly. Yes, sensei. Essentially what you're saying is that I just must use the earth like my own personal and castle, and that will help me learn to use earth chakra in justice. Right. Head not always an airhead as he constantly decides to remind me, I guess. Rado thought in amusement. He still held it against the kid for rushing in against the Jonin without a plan. Yes, Takuno, that is the gist of it. Now, for you to start off with, I want you to try and lay your hand with the back of it laying on the ground, palm up. Then, you will try and pull the dirt into your palm. You don't need a lot, but the idea is to start shaping it into a little ball, like this, Rado said as he demonstrated, placing his hand down, and forming a good-sized ball that fit comfortably into his hand. When you can get the point of rapidly changing its shape, will you be good enough to start learning jutsu, like this? And Rado began making odd shapes, like a sculpted cat that looked oddly like Tora, a miniature tree with shocking detail, and a miniature child holding a stick. Takuno just got even more excited at the display. Oh boy, don't you worry too much, sensei. I am going to get this stuff down as fast as possible. I'll train a lot on my own time. That is good to hear. Now take this. It is a scroll that details how to go about this exercise in more depth. You can use this as a guide and will help you when I am not around to answer your questions, like your personal training. Rado said as he tossed the small brown scroll to the boy. Thanks, sensei. No problem. Now excuse me. I have to go and check on Iroha now. And the Jonin walked off towards his, in his mind, little Genjutsu protege. Break. Rado caught Iroha working on the fourth form for the basic style that he was trying to teach the kid in terms of the use of a katana. It was the run-of-the-mill style taught to all budding leaf village swordsmen who didn't want to use the village's traditional tanto. It acted as a good foundation for personal styles that one could create, or learn from a master-apprentice relationship. Kid is getting good, definitely bringing him to get a real one commissioned. And a chakra-capable blade with that lightning affinity of his. Iroha will be a Genjutsu monster when he gets older. The Jonin thought to himself as he watched the boy. Iroha had just finished the form and was about to flow into the fifth before Rado interrupted him. Okay, Iroha, how about a quick little spar to help you hone your reflexes? Yes, please, sensei, I would like that. Iroha responded with a smile. Genjutsu spars with his sensei were easily his favorite parts of training with Team 5. Yeah, team drills were all right and so was the chakra training, but swords were his passion. He couldn't wait until Rado-sensei brought him to a smith in a few days. Sensei and student squared off with each other, as Rado retrieved a training blade from a scroll he kept in his Jonin vest. With a burst of speed and a quick initiation of the spar courtesy of Iroha, the bout began. Break. Naruto was slowly trying to concentrate the water molecules in the air around him to soak into the leaf he was holding between his fingers. It was harder than fire in his opinion. With that, it came almost naturally to him. Superheating your chakra until it ignites had become a norm. Now trying to pull his primary elements opposite was grating on his nerves. He had been at it for what felt like a couple of hours now, making a snail's progress. He decided to take a pause and clear his mind of his frustrations. He moved over to a tree and sat underneath its foliage cross-legged and put his left hand on his left knee and put his right into a half-ram seal. Kakashi had shown him this exercise when he was younger, filled with youth's exuberance, and used it to help temper his patience. Slowly, he breathed in through his nose, and exhaled through his mouth. His eyes were shut, and he allowed the sounds of nature and his training teammates drift away. The only thing he could hear now were his inner thoughts. I can do this. Break. Rado was making his way back towards where Naruto had gone off to train. He fondly shook his head at the sheer amount of effort his students put into his studies ever since they fell under his command. With all the training these guys get up to, maybe I should have prepped them for a C rank a long time ago. 84 D rank missions in the matter of 3 months might come off as extreme to other instructors. He thought to himself, they are young still, but I had bloodied my hands when I was a bit younger than them thanks to the war. I'll leave it up to fate with their mission. If it is bandit clearing, they will have to kill. If it's an escort, it's an escort. No use sweating over it. The Jonin of Team 5 worried. As a first-time sensei, being taken from his duties as the Hokage's bodyguard, he just wasn't sure how to approach this subject with the boys. It was peacetime, yet as shinobi, they were expected to take the lives of those deemed a threat. It's a lesson they need, and best it happens early in their careers in case it ruins them. We will take it one step at a time, and if any of them have problems, I'll be there to guide them through it. Break. The week was over, and the team was back to their regular schedule. After their morning training, Rado told Naruto and Takuno they were free to go and to report back tomorrow to meet up for their C-ranked mission. Currently, he and Iroha were making their way down the commercial district in the Leaf. They stopped outside of a shop that had crossed blades in the display window. The sign above read Takashi's Forge and Wares. Okay, Iroha, you have enough money on you for a down payment, right? Rado asked. He didn't think this would be an issue. His kids had done a ridiculous amount of D ranks, and that cash added up quick with how frequent they did theirs. Yes, Rado-sensei, I should have more than enough to cover the entire commission from what you were telling me. The boy responded before opening the shop's door and entering. Rado followed him in and watched the genin look around the walls in wonderment. The kid was a minor weapons fanatic, as most swordsmen ended up being. A large, burly man covered in scars came out from a door behind the front counter. He had brown hair and eyes and an old, tired smile at seeing new customers, one that he recognized. Rado. How good to see you. I trust that blade of yours is treating you well, the man asked jovially. Rado smiled for his part, and at seeing the confused look on Iroha's face. Yes, Kakashi, Kakuto has been as reliable as ever. I just used her in a spar with Hate about a week ago. How's business? He asked in turn. This seemed to make the newly introduced Kakashi to glow even more. Oh, it is going swimmingly, especially with all of you shinobi, always running out of kunai and sure can keep business coming well enough, with the odd commission every now and again. Now, what can I get for you today? Well, you see, my student here has been learning the basics of Genjutsu for a while now, and since we will be getting a C rank tomorrow and will probably be out of the village, I decided now would be a good time for him to commission a blade. Naturally, I referred him to here. Rado answered, as he gestured for Iroha to introduce himself. The boy walked P and gave a short bow to the weapons shop owner. It is good to meet you, Takashi-san. My name is Iroha Raigon, and I would very much like to request your services and commission a katana of my own now that my sensei has deemed me ready for such a thing. He respectfully inquired. Takashi grinned at the manners on display. Younglings these days rarely treated their elders with the proper respect. And respect they should. Most of the village is filled with veterans from the last war after all, were his thoughts before he returned the bow. I would be more than happy to help you out with that, my boy. He took a magazine out from under the counter and handed it to Iroha. Here, why don't you and your sensei check out the blade designs I have in there, and if you want some customizations done, feel free to ask. Iroha and Rado checked it over and Iroha found a blade design he liked a lot after a few minutes of searching. It was one that tempered the chakra metals to a pale ocean blue color, and was about 3.5 feet long, with a 10-inch handle. The bottom of the blade flared out into pointed ends and then thinned out where a hand guard should go. He opted to have the handle wrap be a navy blue cord wrap and asked for a black sheath with a small white lightning bolt designed into it. After running it by Takashi, he thought for a second, before nodding and giving them a quote. Well, I would say that should take me around 5 days with my other orders I have right now. As for the price, I would have to say 100,000 ryo. If you can't pay it off now, we do financing here since shinobi are usually good for their money. If something doesn't happen to them in the field, they wouldn't want to piss off their weapons supplier, would they? Oh, I can cover that now actually, said Iroha, shocking the shop owner. He didn't expect a genin who shouldn't have been out of the academy for too long to have that much cash on him. At his questioning look, Rado decided to shed some light on the situation. I had them do a drastic amount of D ranks over the past 3 months. All of the kids, including myself, have a nice little bank cushion because of it. This got a knowing look from the man. He knew the pain of those missions, but if you did enough of them a week, you could make a good living. Well, alright then, let's just get an invoice for the order, and I can send you 2 on your way. And with that Iroha would soon have a sword that he was thinking of all sorts of names for. Break. The next morning saw Naruto in the training ground just before their usual meet-up time waiting for the others. Even now, just sitting down he had a leaf in hand and was trying to soak the damn thing. He had a tiny amount of progress over the last few days. The thing at least got damp now. But that was not nearly enough. After a few minutes of practice, his team started drifting in. First Iroha showed up, greeted Naruto with a nod and a yawn, the former of which Naruto returned to the boy. Soon Takuno joined them with a chipper good morning to the two, and the trio waited for their sensei to arrive. At exactly 5, Rado appeared in a shunshin. Good morning, you three. The administration office doesn't open until 8, so I want to spend a couple hours reviewing all of the survival training and guides I gave to you guys. Before we actually leave for the mission, you will have an opportunity to go and pack some gear. Now gather round, I want to get this over with. And once they formed a semicircle around him, he began reviewing over everything he thought they would need for their C rank. You never know what might end up happening on missions, so best to be prepared and made aware in his eyes. Once it was 10 minutes until the office opened, he concluded the review and decided to address an issue that had almost slipped his mind until now. Takuno, since we will be leaving the village, you will be required to change into a darker colored shirt while you are packing. Do you own anything in a dark green, blue, black, brown, or grayish color? Rado asked his student warily. The other two looked professional enough, and he didn't want to insult his charge with a critique to his fashion sense. This got a surprised look from Takuno as he glanced at his torso and thought. Yes, I do, sensei. I just used that shirt for training and the whatnot. If you didn't want me to wear it, I could have changed my shinobi attire a while ago. He responded, getting an immediate sweat drop from the 3 others on the team. He had something else to wear this entire time, were the uniformed mind shouts of the others who had always wondered why Takuno wore a color that would give him away out in the forests. Rado just rubbed his face and tried not to get too aggravated. Very well, just be sure to wear something more fitting for a shinobi from this day forward, okay? Of course, Rado-sensei. Takuno responded happily. Well, let's make our way to go see the Hokage. He usually likes to brief every team the first time they take a mission above the rank they usually do. He can also assign us one then, as I'm sure he will have a few he hasn't brought over to be distributed yet, said Rado, and Team 5 quickly made their way to the administration building connected to the Hokage's tower. After Rado requested the first rank for Team 5, the Chunin on duty wrote them a slip, and instructed him to bring his genin next door to see the Hokage. They only had a 10-minute wait after climbing the tower, and soon the 4 shinobi were standing in front of the old man's desk, waiting for instructions. Hiruzen smiled kindly at his Jonin and 3 of his fresh genin. This was the team with his surrogate grandson on it, and if they were here it meant they were requesting their first C rank. Well, good morning Team 5, please have a seat, all of you. The Hokage gestured to each of them. After they all were seated, he decided to address the current issue. So, am I to assume that you are here to request a C-ranked mission for your students, Rado-kun? He asked his old bodyguard. Rado nodded before speaking. Yes, Hokage-same. My team has completed 84 D ranks in the past 3 months and have undergone some of the more advanced training for genin. I feel they are more than up to the challenge of taking a more advanced mission. Do you have anything that you would like us to take care of? He respectfully answered and asked his village leader. I don't have any escort missions right now. We just got a huge influx of requests to eliminate some bandit camps towards the northern border. Should I send fresh graduates, Naruto at that, to go and bloody their hands? Hiruzen thought to himself. He looked at each of the genin, trying to decipher if they were up to it. Takuno was trying to maintain a professional posture, but you could see the excitement rolling off him. He seems confident and eager enough. Looking at Iroha, he saw a much calmer facade, but even then, he caught the slight smile on the boy's lips, clearly anticipating leaving the village for a while. Looking at his favorite genin, not that he would tell his other shinobi that, he couldn't help but to swell with pride at the blank, professional face on the boy was wearing. Well, Naruto-kun, you want to join the Anbu, and you are so advanced already, I won't hold you back. I just hope you and the other 2 can stomach the lives of being shinobi after this. You are sure that you feel that these genin are up to a C-ranked mission then, Rado-kun? He asked the Jonin. At being addressed, Rado straightened his back just a little bit more, and met the old leader's eyes before responding. Yes, Hokage-sama, I am confident in these 3 shinobi to live up to the task. Hiruzen smiled grimly. Very well then. Let's see what we have then. He looked through a couple of the mission scrolls that he had already approved that morning and found one that should be easy enough. This one would bring the boys to the northern border, and would be looking to be about 20 to 30 bandits in the area. The daimyo was requesting they all be sentenced to death. This will have to do. Rado, you and your students will need to travel to the border of with the land of waterfalls. We are allied and we will not be crossing the border, so no issues should arise. You will be given 10 days to reach that area, search it for a camp of bandits, and dispose of them per order of the daimyo. Do you have any questions? Will we take any prisoners to take back for interrogation, Hokage-san? Was a question posed by Naruto. You only need 1 prisoner, Naruto-kun, and preferably the bandit who appears to oversee the rest. The others you will have to eliminate, and dispose of the bodies properly. It goes without saying to protect any civilians if they are caught in the crossfire or attacked by these rogues. Was Hiruzen's answer. Naruto's expression did not change any, but Takuno and Iroha each looked a tad uncomfortable with the mission parameters. Seeing this, Rado asked for the team's opinion before accepting the mission. Guys, what do you think? Are you capable of completing the task? He asked them with a challenging tone, trying to lighten them up a bit. This got the desired effect of distracting them from the thought of having to kill, and to not wanting to appear weak in front of their leader. They answered in unison, Yes, we are up for it. And Naruto and Rado just smiled at the change of attitude. Very well, Team 5 accepts the mission, Hokage-sama. Rado told the old man, who promptly threw the scroll towards the Jonin. Very well, Rado, you should leave some time before nightfall. Dismissed. Hi, Hokage-sama. Was the instinct response 24 from the 4 shinobi as they rose from their seats and bowed. They then made their way out of the office and out of the building. Once outside, Rado turned to address his charges. Okay, we will leave in 2 hours from the main gate. Pack for up to 3 weeks in case something goes wrong. Each of you take one of these storing scrolls, no backpacks on missions. He proceeded to toss a small scroll to each of the boys. Dismissed. Break. Back at his apartment, Naruto was double-checking all of his equipment. Okay, extra kunai set check. Extra shuriken set check. Extra samban set check. 3 extra uniforms, check. Extra shinobi tape for uniforms, check. Soldier pills, check. IFAC, check. Tanto? Naruto reached behind him to ensure that it was still strapped to him, as well as his weapons pouches. Check, need those. Let's see. He moved from his bedroom to his kitchen and started checking his cabinets for food to pack. He found a box of field ration bars, as well as some shinobi meals ready to eat, or MREs. Food check. He then made sure he had 2 canteens strapped to his waist and that they were full for the road. He also went and grabbed his survival kit, which had his fire-making kit, redundant, and his tent set. Okay, I should be all set, he thought to himself, and finished sealing everything into the scroll, which he put into his utility pouch. I can't wait till I am a Chunin and raid a vest. Those things can carry so much in their pouches, he thought despondently. Once he was set, he moved to his front door to leave. When he opened it, Kakashi was there looking like he was about to knock. Oh, hey Naruto-kun. Perfect, I was hoping to catch you before you guys left for your mission. Hokage-sama just informed me about it, said the Jonin. What's up, Kakashi-sensei? I don't mean to sound rude, but I have to make it to the gate soon. Ma, no worries, no worries. I was just looking to give you a gift in celebration of your first C rank. Here, I thought you might like this. Sorry for the crude wrapping paper, Kakashi said as he held out a parcel wrapped in brown to-go bag paper. Naruto accepted it and quickly tore it open with the childish enthusiasm he rarely did. Gifts from Kakashi were almost always shinobi-related, so he always loved them. Upon opening the gift, he found something that brought a fond smile to his face. There were a few dark brown face masks, the same yet a different color to the one Kakashi always wore. I know you aren't an ANBU and don't rate a porcelain mask yet, but I figured you would appreciate some of these until you do get into the Black Ops, Kakashi explained with his patented eye smile. Naruto took one of the masks and pulled it over his face. He then took his storage scroll back out and put the rest in there for safe keepings until he returned from his mission. Once that was done, he walked up to Kakashi and embraced him in gratitude. Thank you, Kakashi-Nizen. I love them. Kakashi returned the hug and ruffled Naruto's hair for good measure. You're welcome, my little mini-me. Now, I believe you have a mission to get to. Good luck and tell Rado I said hello. Thanks, Kakashi-Nizen. Oh, and by the way, we found out my teammate Iroha has a lightning affinity. He was wondering if you could give him the start for elemental manipulation. Oh, that's a surprise, sure, just bring him by for one of our spars, and I will try and work something out with him. Now get going, kid. Kakashi shooed the genin away from his own apartment. Yeah? Was the response as Naruto activated a shunshin to make up for lost time to get to the gate. Upon arriving in a small cloud of smoke, Naruto noticed that his team was there, minus Takuno. I really need to try and modify the shunshin to make it a bit better than a smoke cloud. Oh well, I wonder where Takuno is at, were his immediate thoughts. Hello, sensei, Kakashi-Nizen says hello. He addressed his Jonin, who was looking at him with a raised eyebrow, probably due to the addition to his wardrobe. Are you sure that you aren't Kakashi? Rado jested in response. Nah, I'm not that good of a shinobi yet, sensei. But hey, Iroha, Kakashi said that when we get back, he would be willing to help you with your lightning training. He addressed his teammate. Oh, nice, thanks for asking him for me, Naruto. I appreciate that. No problem. It was at this time that the three heard a shout. I'm sorry I took so long. Takuno was sprinting down the street. My parents were nagging me to be careful and whatnot, and Mom just had to take a bunch of photos, he said as he got near them. The rest of the team noticed that he seemed a little disheveled and had lipstick smeared on his cheek. His teammates were trying to inform him of this without busting out laughing at the poor brunette. After he finally noticed what their gestures and laughs were about, he turned beet red. Oh, shut up. It's not my fault my mom can be annoying sometimes. Well, whatever, we are all here, so let's get a move on. I want to move fast, so we will take to the trees for as long as we can. Move, Rado commanded, and Team 5 was off like a race horse, heading north. After a few hours, the sun was beginning to set, so Rado instructed his genin to make camp in clearing of the forest. Most of the land of fire consisted of dense woods, or large swaths of agricultural land. Lumber and fresh produce were their home country's main exports. After setting up the camp, Rado dished out camp duties to each. Okay, you three, here's how we will split it. Iroha, you will take all the canteens and fill them up. Takuno, you're on cooking duty, so go and try and hunt down some rabbits, or search for a stream and try and fish. Naruto, you got firewood duty for the night. Yes, sensei, answered Iroha, and he began collecting from his teammates. I'm on it, Takuno exclaimed, handing off his canteens to Iroha before speeding out of their clearing. I'll be back quickly, sensei, was Naruto, who just slowly made his way into the trees. This left Rado alone in the camp. Well, now I guess I have a bit to read a good book with them gone, he thought to himself and pulled a small one out from his own utility pouch. He quickly started reading Ika Makeout Tactics before his students could return and judge him. This one of his few secret pleasures.